This story took place in the northern lands. One young man decided to get to the Order of Swordsmen. For this, he needed to expel the nobility from this land. His name was Chu Ain. He really wanted to marry Chin Chan. The young man shouted, standing in front of his enemy, that he would take revenge on those who harmed him, and everyone would fall at his feet. The enemy aimed his sword at the young man, telling him to stop his tales. The enemy pierced the guy. He only managed to say when the sword pierced his chest, "How is this possible?" The enemy told the boy that he was just a small insect. Chu Ain fell to the ground. The enemy master Lin Sayo said that they are all the chosen ones, those who go to fight monsters that are many times stronger than them. The master prepared a purple fireball in his hand, and he threw the ball at Chu Ain, saying that he was about to die. The boy, having received a blow, shouted, "Ah, ah, ah!" This all happened at the top of a high tower. All the people below saw the explosion. The winner was the young master of the Order of the Demon of 1,000 Paths, Master Lin Sayo, who is our hero. He expected that the system would say that he had killed the Chosen One, but the system showed that, despite the fact that the Chosen One was eliminated, the value of the fate of his enemy is not clear. The gentleman could not believe his ears. His mission was a failure. He was overcome by demonic power. The young man could not control the demonic thoughts that swirled around his mind, turning him into a creature. His appearance began to change before his eyes. He became a terrible monster. The people standing below the tower saw the demonic Tsai energy awaken in the young man, which people had not seen for 300 years. One person shouted, "How is this possible? Aren't demons extinct?" The demon was very large. He had long arms with claws. On his back there were sharp spikes along the ridge and small wings. Suddenly the patriarch of the 18th generation of the Qin Sword Order appeared. He was with a sword. But the demon directed his blow at the patriarch, and he was killed with one blow. The girl cried, her father was killed, and brother Chu Ain too. The monster was right in front of her. The girl began to pray, and suddenly saw 4 figures. These were 4 sacred ambassadors. The demon watched carefully what was happening. All the ambassadors who came were surprised how the heavenly demon ended up in the forgotten lower world and did not appear in the land of the saints. They were all floating in the air and wearing masks. Among the ambassadors was a girl with a musical instrument. She said that the demon was too weak since he did not awaken to the end, but only to the 3rd stage. The ambassador with the sword said that he must be killed. The demon was huge. He rushed at the sacred ambassador with a sword. The swordsman said that the demon is very energetic. The girl ambassador began to play a musical instrument. With so much music, the sacred swordsman began his attack and cut off one of the demon's arms. The monster growled and snapped its jaw. Then the monster decided to attack with a stream of energy from its mouth. This attack was countered by the largest of the ambassadors, who created a flow of energy that countered the demonic one. The sacred force overcame the demonic force, and the young man gradually began to turn into a human. He coughed and writhed on the ground as the demonic Tsai power dissipated. The ambassadors stood above him. One of them said he was lucky. One of the ambassadors, who had a halberd, rushed at the young man to kill him. The guy shouted why. From the strong blow of the sacred ambassador, his head flew off his shoulders and rolled far from his body. His image rose up. The image of the young man asked the system why he failed the mission. The system said that the death of the owner of the body was detected. Now he had 2 options: resurrection or reincarnation. The guy asked for the 3rd option. Titan said he could choose the 3rd option: turn on the rookie defense and start over. But this protection is valid once, so if he is killed, it will be forever. The young man's body was loaded with new energy, and magical weapons were distributed. The character he transmigrated into had high-level skills and was stronger than many from the lower world. Our hero was a heavenly demon in a past life. He thought that as soon as he unleashed his demonic power, the sacred envoys immediately appeared to kill him. The young man thought that when you directly kill the Chosen One, then the system punishes him, so it is enough to deprive the Chosen One of his heavenly destiny. In a past life, our hero was a writer. The download has been completed. The boy thought that the author could not make mistakes twice, so he decided to act differently. The young man fell to the ground again. Lin Zio looked around and thought that after the restart, time had also turned back. He saw three teenagers run out of the entrance in the rock. Suddenly, one of the running boys fell. The fallen guy told his two friends to run and inform the order about Mr. Chu Ain, who was in cahoots with the demon lord Tsuchin. Suddenly, an attack came from the entrance. It was the lady who attacked the fleeing people. She said that no one should know about the events of today, so they all will meet a mortal end. Suddenly, people of the Tsin Sword Order came running here. Among them was the daughter of the patriarch. She screamed what was happening here. The guys said that Chu Ain was in cahoots with the demon lord. The patriarch's daughter did not believe what was said. She said that brother Chu Ain would never get involved with the demoness. Suddenly, the demon lord Witsuchin attacked the girl. The demoness attacked Tsinchan out of jealousy. The mistress shouted that she would send her rival straight to hell. Our hero watched all this. He was wondering which of the rivals had greater destiny value. The demon lord went wild. She attacked all the people, throwing lightning bolts of her demonic energy. People began to run away in different directions. Suddenly, our hero appeared. Tsuchen noticed his appearance. Their opposing energies collided. She thought she was overtaking the enemy when he attacked her with a fireball. Then, with the help of martial arts and technology, the young man finished what he started. The demon lord was lying on the ground. All the people understood what had happened. One guy said that the strongest devil in all four wastelands was killed using the young master's breathing technique. The young man said that they were all saved. People thanked him. The patriarch's daughter looked at our hero with gratitude. Lin Sayo said that destroying demons is his responsibility, so there is no need to thank him. The young people told him not to be modest. Our hero decided to pretend to be a good person. Then the master enclosed all the lady's energy in a small amphora and closed it with a spell. He said that now the she-devil would definitely not cause any harm. But who was she in cahoots with? One teenager, pointing to the patriarch's daughter, said that Chu Ain was in cahoots with the demoness, so everyone from this order, and even Shin Chan, must be killed, so that she does not warn others. Then the young man summoned a formless warrior. Tall and strong, wearing a fiery red mask, he appeared behind our hero. The master told the warrior to go and destroy all the demons in the northern wastes. The gentleman said that the girl Chin-chan fought with them against the mistress, which means that the girl is not connected with betrayal. But the teenager shouted that her order was in connection with a demoness. To these words, the master said that he had already sent a formless warrior to the northern lands to get rid of the demons. Then all the people agreed that Chu Ain contacted the lady for personal interests. After some time, our hero and the patriarch's daughter saddled two horses and rushed through the mountains to the northern lands. They drove for a long time until darkness descended on the mountains. She said he was very honest. The girl said that she had nothing to hide, since today she agreed to meet Chu Ain near the Black Mountain. She was sure that her brother did not betray the order. The young man and the girl decided to take a break. They found a polka-dot cave and decided to stay there for the night. The young man illuminated the cave and said that no one would bother them here. Then our hero ordered the beauty to undress. She shouted, "Why do this?" He said that if he speaks, then it must be done. The girl did not understand why the satellite changed so dramatically. The patriarch's daughter was afraid not only for herself, but also for the entire order. She thought, just because he was so noble, It turns out the guy was faking it. The beauty began to undress and mentally called her father and brother, Chuan. She began to slowly take off her clothes. After that, the system gave our hero 300 villain points, since his behavior corresponded to the behavior of the villain. The guy thought that everything was as he expected. He had to behave like a villain. The screams of the beauty were heard in the cave. She gasped as the guy worked on her body. He said that everything is ready, and now there is no more poison in her body, so her wounds will heal faster. Then the master gave her a third-grade elixir, which should promote a speedy recovery. The girl began to get dressed and thanked the young man for his medical assistance. She realized that he was kind. The girl thought that the young man was very handsome and smart, so how could he think about her because she was a simple girl? The gentleman broke the beauty's heart, receiving 500 villain points. The girl fell asleep near the fire. But the young man had one more thing to take care of before going to the Chosen One. He took and opened the amphora, in which the demon lord was sealed. The lady appeared. The gentleman told Uetsuchin to tell her about herself and young Chuane. The demoness said she couldn't do it, and she knew he was targeting him. The young man said that the demon lord really does have a spine. But the young man was many times stronger than his rival. He used the ancient art of soul absorption, and she told him everything. Early in the morning, when the sun illuminated the earth, the travelers were getting ready for the road. The girl came out of the cave and handed the young man his clothes. He saddled the horses and asked if she slept well. She answered, yes. The girl said that she did not even feel how she was covered with his clothes. The guy said that her wounds should have healed by now, so why don't they ride his skeleton horse? They mounted the horse. Only the young man snapped his fingers, and his horse changed from black and black to a horse without skin, so its skeleton became visible. The travelers were in a hurry. They had to get to the order before noon. During the day, the warriors of the Sword Order trained in the square under the leadership of young Chuan. He told the young men to tense their arms and raise their legs higher. Suddenly, a skeletal horse rode into the gates of the fortress. Chin-chan shouted joyfully, "Brother Chuan, I'm back!" The young man saw a girl and a young man on a horse. He was very surprised that the beauty was with her companion. The girl ran up to him. Chuan asked her if she was okay. She said that everything was fine, and thanks to Master Lin Seo, she returned safe and sound. The guy asked who the savior was. Then our hero said that this must be the young man about whom the girl had spoken so much. But the Sword Order guy started shouting at the guest who he was. Young Chuan loudly asked not to pretend that the master knew the girl and to explain everything to him right away. Our hero thought that it was rare to see Chuan so excited. The beauty told her brother not to be rude to the guest, because if it weren't for Lin Sayo, the lady would have finished her off, so he is her savior. The guy thought in fright that Tsuchin had been defeated. Brother Chuan took the girl by the hand and began to pull her into the palace. But the master said that he could not leave, since the students of the sect accused him of having a relationship with the demon lord, and everything needed to be found out. Suddenly, an elder who was passing by told the warrior Chuan why he was not training, but arguing with someone. Our hero asked the chief commander that he must be the elder of the order. The man replied that that's right. He is the patriarch of the 18th generation of the Qin Sword Order, one of the best swordsmen in the northern desert. The elder asked the young man who he was. The young man coughed and said that he was a member of the Lin family, from the sacred lands. His name was Lin Zio. The elder was surprised and said that he was the master of the highest Tao. Lin Zio. Then the elder smiled and said that he would immediately order the table to be set. The young man said that there is information about the conspiracy of the warrior Chuan with the demoness Tsuchin, so he asks for help in solving it. The next day, the girl Chin-chan climbed the long stairs leading to the entrance to the dungeon. There was a chained shield on the door. Chuan was sitting in the cell. He thought that the elder, having listened to Master Lin Sayo, imprisoned him. Suddenly he heard a girl's voice. She asked, "Brother Chuain?" The young man jumped up joyfully and ran to the prison net. He asked that she came for him, but the girl sadly replied that no, she just brought him food. The guy said that he did not conspire with the demon girl because she believes him. The beauty said that she believes him, so Master Lin Seo will acquit him. At which the guy got very angry. Then the prisoner said that the master would show his true face, and then she would understand that he was right. The guy said it was no use talking to her anymore. The girl left offended. The arrested man decided to take his mind off sad thoughts about the betrayal by his elder and Shin-chan. Therefore, he decided to mentally contact Min-fen and ask him to teach him the Holy Order technique. Min-fen told him to think carefully, because if he taught him the technique, he would never be able to return to the true path. The guy said he agreed. Master Lin Seo sensed their collusion. A few minutes later, Xin-chan knocked on the door of the master's room. She said that she visited her brother, but he was very angry and did not understand that the master wanted to figure everything out. The young man told the beauty that he was not offended by the member of the Order of the Sword, especially since he had a strong aura. Most likely he was pure. The young man thought about it and told the girl to give him 2 days to sort it out, and he would help restore the good name of Chu Ain. The girl thought, looking at the master, how noble and fair he is. And the brother not only does not understand this, but also hates the master. The totem system took away the tokens from the young chosen one, Chu Ain, as his fiancée became disillusioned with him. The master told the girl that even though there was no poison in her body, her breathing was still irregular. Behind the door, a conversation between a guest and a girl was overheard by one of the Order's students. He heard the Lord offer to stay with the beauty to stabilize the meridians, and she thanked the master. After some time, the sounds of footsteps were heard in the prison, where young Chuain was sitting. The prisoner thought why his sister didn't bring him food today. Then someone appeared in the cell. It was a student of the Order who overheard the conversation between our hero and the girl. He brought food and said that despite the fact that Chuain took away the title of first from him, he came to him, here in prison. But the young prisoner did not want to listen to the pathetic student. Chuain said that it seems that cancelling cultivation was not enough to punish him, so next time he will rip out his tongue. The student was scared. The envious man was offended and finally said that he forgot to say, because last night the girl Sin-chan came to the room of the master Lin Sayo. The young prisoner asked if she had stayed there all night. Jealousy tore the guy's soul. He thought how dared Sin-chan do this to him. Because she was so two-faced, she said that she believed him, and she herself was with the master. The young man wanted to kill them both. Min-fen appeared here. He told the guy not to be so reckless because he had a good cultivation speed and would become much stronger in a few days. After a while, he calmed down a little. The mentor helped him understand that he needed to wait for a great achievement, and then many options for marriage would appear. Then the guy thought that if he didn't succeed with the girl Xin-chan, then he had the demoness Tsuchin. He still did not believe that the master had defeated her forever. Min-fen, although he was blindfolded, could sense people well. He thought that the young warrior was too impatient, so he would not reach the heights. But he could keep up with him. The system showed that our hero received 100 fate tokens for separating the chosen one from his team member. At the same time, the totem made a ringing sound. Ring! Chuain only has 300 tokens left. Our hero wanted to see what he could do with his tokens. The system gave possible options: store, personal, storage, inventory. But the young man still couldn't activate anything. The system gave Master Lin Seo that all these possibilities are for the chosen one, and if not, then it is useless. Suddenly, a student of the Order appeared at the door of the room, visiting the prisoner. The disciple said that he returned and did everything as the master asked. The Lord asked the young man why he was helping him. Because he was Chuain's older brother, He replied that he had hated him for a long time and wanted him dead. When the Order disciple left, our hero thought that it seemed that he was the previous means to achieve Chu-Ain's goal. The envious man left, thinking that his enemy would come to an end. The other two Sword Sect disciples were in the demon's suppression hall. They talked among themselves about Chu-Ain, whom they believed was framed by someone. One said he believed it was not a matter of collusion. Suddenly, in the suppression hall, a demon emerged from its sealed form. It was the demoness Tsuchin who escaped from the amphora in which Master Lin Sayo imprisoned her. The students heard a noise and saw powerful energy. The slab under which the amphora was located was broken by the explosion, and the students scattered in different directions from the force of the impact. First of all, the demon lord immediately found herself in prison. Chu-Ain was surprised to see the beauty. The demoness said that she had come to save him. She quickly opened the dungeon. They held hands and she helped him fly away from this place. They were flying over the mountains. The guy asked the demoness what he heard, because she suffered in a battle with the Master Lin Sayo. When they flew some distance from the city of the Order, the girl began to feel ill. She started coughing up blood. The girl and guy stopped their flight and landed on a plateau. She said that the master was very strong, and she could not cope with him. The young man said that Lin Sayo came from the lands of the saints and was very cunning. The guy invited the demoness to run away together away from this damned place. The girl and the boy approached each other. He hugged the beauty, but she was thoughtful and asked what about Chin-chan. The young man said loudly that the Chin-chan girl is a slut who wags her tail in front of the master from the Holy Lands, and she is not worthy of him, and the elder completely obeys Mr. Lin Sayo. Suddenly the master, the elder of the Order, and Chin-chan, and brother Chu-Ain appeared there. They all heard the bad words that the freed prisoner said. This means that the demoness completed the task perfectly. Our hero said that Chu-Ain has finally shown his true colors. At that moment, the prisoner realized how betrayed he was, and even the mistress was in cahoots with the Lord from the Holy Lands. He shouted at Tsuchin, but the young warrior realized that the master used the ancient art of soul absorption and controlled the demoness from the very beginning. Suddenly, the Chin-chan girl started shouting at her brother that she believed him in vain. Then the elder of the Order began to shout that they were all convinced, because Chu-Ain had conspired with the mistress personally, and this had nothing to do with the sect. The prisoner's brother shouted that Chu-Ain was a traitor to the Order. Everyone shouted that the young man had betrayed the sect, because he could have become the elder's successor, but instead got involved with demons, so he should be executed. The system took the prisoner's 300 points, and he turned into a demon. Everyone saw how Chu-Ain's appearance changed. His horns grew, his eyes became red, his mouth with sharp teeth was huge. The elder said that he wanted to personally execute the culprit, but the demon shouted that the damn old man should not stand in his way. He attacked the elder and dealt him a strong blow. The patriarch's daughter rushed to her father. The demon decided to attack her too. Master Lin Sayo, seeing the attack on the girl, managed to cover her with his body, but she still flew away from the shockwave. Now the demon decided to attack the rich boy from the Holy Land. Our hero shouted to everyone to leave and not interfere with his fight with the demon. The girl shouted, "What about him?" The young man told her not to worry about him. The Lord from the Holy Land said that all this started because of him, so he must deal with it himself. All members of the Sword Order began to run away and called Chin-chan with them. The demon shouted that now that everyone had left, it had become easier to kill him, because first he would bring them his head, and then he would kill them all one by one. The master put his hand to his forehead and looked into the distance. Then he said that everyone had finally left. The demon screamed, or he listened to him at all. Lin Sayo took his sword and said that since everyone left, he will teach him something. After all, he is a villain. How can he not kill his opponents? Chu-Ain in a demonic body thought that once he defeated the Lord from the Holy Lands, his secret would be protected. The demon began to attack. The master said that he would stop hesitating and now let the demonic spirit try his sword. The enemy used the bloody demon technique. Fresh blood was the monster's weapon. He sprayed it with red streams. Small and large demons appeared from it. They all attacked the master. Lin Xiao then attacked the monsters sent by the demon. First his sword pierced the largest of them. Then the Lord from the Holy Lands cut a dozen small bloody monsters in half with one blow. Then the next little blood demons did not want to attack the master. The red figures fell on their knees in front of Mr. Lin Xiao. Chuan shouted that they had no pride at all. Master said that in demonic cultivation, the weak were always subjugated by the strong. The master threw his sword to him and said, "Hold it!" The demon grabbed the sword and said that it was a heaven-level treasure. Then Mr. Lord added that now he will not say that he does not respect him. The demon was delighted with the weapon. He said that with such a sword, his strength would increase hundreds of times, because 10,000 rebirths of the blood demon should now appear. Chuan, in a demonic body, shouted that thanks to the sword he had achieved supreme power. The demon rushed to attack the master, but the Lord hit his opponent hard with his hand right in the chest. Chuan flew back and hit the ground. He again found a human body, which lay on the ground. Chuan's whole life from childhood passed before Chuan. How he was born an orphan, he was despised, offended. Then he studied a lot, had to marry the beautiful daughter of the patriarch. But now everything is not so. The young man in human form opened his eyes and looked up. Standing in front of him with a sword was not a man, but a demon. Chuan's last words were, "Are you not a human, but a demon?" Our hero was sitting near the guy's body. He said that as soon as his fate points approach 0, a member of the Order will show his true colors. The totem sees that the chatter matches the villain's style, and he receives 500 villain points. Our hero thought that the villains were dying from chatter, and now we had to finish. The ball of energy flew towards Chuan. The master thought that he had finally finished with the chosen one. What would the system say? The totem hesitated to answer, but then said that the owner received plus 4,000 villain points, since the chosen one was destroyed. The Lord from the Holy Lands was very happy. He said that he took revenge on everything. Then the young man remembered that the enemy had some kind of trump card in the demon suppression hall. He saw an amulet that belonged to Chuan. The young man took it in his hand. He thought it was strange, because he fought with the enemy for half a day, and the amulet did not help him. The guy decided to take it with him for now to figure it out later. The master decided to catch up with the others. The elder felt bad. He was supported by his daughter and a student of the Order, because the old warrior did not move well. Lin Xiao appeared there and shouted that he was back. But as soon as the gentleman from the northern lands said that he had destroyed Chuan, the elder collapsed to the ground and felt very bad. The master ran up to him and gave him medicine to drink from a small jug. Immediately, the old man felt a surge of strength. He said that he felt warmth throughout his body. The daughter was very happy for her father. Elder Lu Un said that everything is fine now and thanked the master for everything. But the elder was worried, since many demons still roamed their lands. Our hero said that he sent a warrior to deal with the walking monsters. And don't worry, Luan and his daughter were very happy. The girl thanked the master and said that the lands of the saints would reward him. She threw herself on his neck and he hugged her. He thought it was even nice to be good. Totem gave its verdict and said that it was getting a happy ending, so a new feature was being provided. After some time, our hero basked in a large barrel of water and thought how nice it would be to kill the main characters of other authors. He wanted to see what function was added to the system. The totem revealed that the gacha system is open to the owner. 1 spin can exchange 100 points, and 10 spins give 1 free. The young man began to scroll and felt that he had changed. The master took a bath and turned the system over and over again. He became more and more excited. New spins attracted him. The guy sank underwater in a barrel and said that this was a lost cause. The master cursed and decided to change the place where he would play. A tall stone statue of a warrior, the master climbed to the very top. He thought that if luck is not enough, he will use forbidden techniques because the place is the best to play gacha. The guy didn't have enough points for 10 spins, so he decided to use the miracle of one spin. He pressed the option and flew down from the tall statue. The girl Chinchan saw him fall to the ground. The beauty ran up to him and grabbed his hand. The gentleman was hit hard. She asked what he was doing. The totem revealed that a golden legendary weapon, a pistol, had appeared. The elder's daughter asked if he was okay. The young man thought, why in the fantasy world there is always a cannon? Because it will not be weak. A girl and a boy stood in front of the building, when suddenly an elder ran out from there and shouted what happened, because the defensive building almost collapsed, or they didn't see anyone here. Lin Xiao hid the weapon behind his back and said that the scoundrel ran there, indicating the direction with his hand. The elder rushed there. The guy and girl laughed. Xin Chan joked that he had learned to lie. The girl laughed and said, "Who knew he had such a sweet side?" The guy asked her to stop joking like that. The two of them had a lot of fun. Then the master thought that he allowed Xin-chan to help himself, for which the system gave him a weapon as a gift. For this, he can give her a purple pill, which is unique. He took it out and opened it. The young man held out his palm, which had a pill on it, and said that it was for her. The girl was delighted, but the young man at the last minute changed the pill to a green one. She took the green pill. The girl had 600 fate points. This pill will at least help her improve. She said that she felt a surge of true energy in her body and thanked the guy for the pill. The beauty became even more attractive and said that the master was a blessing to her. She approached the dais. The guy thought how come he gave the beauty a pill at random, and she rose to the occasion. Maybe something happened and he became the chosen one. Then the young man realized that he was the chosen one. The girl said that the gentleman saved her life and helped the sect get rid of demons, and also gave her the opportunity to rise. But she could not thank him for his kindness, so she wants to serve him. The guy said that he felt the falseness in her words, because she wanted to use him. But the girl said that since childhood, she had dreamed of the lands of the saints, but could only become the wife of the next elder. Then the young man believed her, and said that why not, and that he would let her use it just once. The guy wanted her to do everything in her power. The master said that giving up on yourself, leaving dreams as just dreams, is a big mistake. The young people knelt one in front of the other. They looked into each other's eyes. At this time, young Master Yifan was standing in front of the elders, who were telling him that his engagement to Fen Zio was broken due to his inability to cultivate. Now his residence is moved to the courtyard. His father did a lot for the sect, but he became a disgrace to the family since he was born with a defect and cannot cultivate. The young man thought that his father fought for the sect and built half a mountain for the family, but now he is being thrown out like a dog. The guy was furious and angry with the elders and family. A portrait of a young Yifan appeared on the screen in front of our hero. This was the next chosen one with whom our hero would have to deal. He thought that it was not in vain that the bride broke off the engagement. However, the master thought that the groom would now take revenge on everyone. The system showed that he was the next chosen one. What kind of relationship would develop later? At this time, a student ran into the door, saying that things were bad. There were problems in the sect's front yard. Warriors from other branches came to the sect. Elder Lu'un shouted that Chu Ain, who personally contacted the demons, was finished. There were no more traitors here. But the tall warrior who stood opposite the elder said that he did not believe Lu'un's words and wanted to figure it out. He folded his hands in front of him and barely restrained himself from getting into a fight. The thug Batain shouted that he wanted to make sure for himself that there were no more traitors in the sect. Luun said that he doesn't know what's on his mind because he wants to find an excuse to take their treasure. The thug shouted that even if that was the case, then the elder should catch the axe. At these words, the giant swung his long axe to strike. Suddenly, Lin Sayo appeared and broke the long axe. Old man Bataine looked at his broken axe. Everyone screamed as someone was able to cut the giant's axe because it was a weapon of the Bataine dynasty. The warrior stood hesitantly, looking at the young man. Then the sect elder shouted that the master had arrived on time. The arriving guest became even more angry. He said that he knew a master from the Holy Lands who was very strong and almost unbeatable. The enemy decided to personally test this. Bataine shouted that his axe was a simple magical weapon, but now he would use the ninth sword of heavenly destiny, whose power is comparable to the Sea of Souls. This old man was the strongest among the devastated lands. The enemy swung his sword at our hero. The master pulled out his pistol and shot him. However, he said that these are different times. The lord from the sacred lands said that the old man wanted to defeat him with some green weapon. Then our hero smiled at how easy it was to use the gun. All the people did not understand how such a strong warrior who had reached the realm of the Sea of Souls somehow became weak. One disciple said that this is because the Lord's shot has the power of the immortal realm. The master asked the warriors who else wanted to fight him, but everyone admitted that the old man Bataine wanted to capture the sect and plunder it. Then the warriors asked for forgiveness, kneeling before the master. The first guy who was on his knees said that as a gift to the master, they bring divine weapons, a hammer, and a talisman of sacred fire in the hope of generosity. The master thought that he had enough of this. Suddenly, one old woman said that another gift was coming from the holy girl Fenzayo, who was Ifan's bride. The girl had light brown hair and was very attractive. Our hero immediately grabbed the beauty's hand and dragged her away from the crowd. He said he had questions for her. The beauty was indignant that he was in a hurry, because people were watching. Soon, our hero and the gift girl found themselves in his room. The guy sat down on a chair. The girl stood in front of him. He asked who she was. She said her name was Fenzayo, and she was engaged to Ifan. The girl said that the engagement had already been broken, as her master had once said that with their sect's charming technique, they must not lose their purity, otherwise all his efforts would be in vain. The master said that she broke off the engagement not only because of her sect, because the charm technique does not disappear with the loss of virginity, but because her fiancé could not cultivate. The beauty said it was true. The master thought, the plot with the cancellation of the engagement and the desire to prove to everyone and the bride what the groom is capable of is very interesting, but why does she have so few fate points? The girl took off the cape that covered her shoulders and approached the master a few steps. She said that after the engagement, the groom did not touch her and he could check this himself. The girl approached the guy and bent over to him, when suddenly the elder's daughter burst into the room and said that she was probably at the wrong time. She saw this scene and thought that the master would be angry, but Lin Sayo hugged Xin-chan and said that it was okay. She was just in time. He asked if she knew the guest family and if she knew Ifan. She replied that yes, because the young man was her cousin. The young master thought that most likely the quarrel occurred because the groom was disappointed in his chosen one, as he became interested in another, namely Chin-chan. The master thought that it turned out that the elder's daughter was liked by two chosen ones at once. This increased her value. It turned out that she was very popular. Suddenly, the guest approached the gentleman, saying that she knew a lot more about Ifan and could tell him. The lord got angry. He pushed her away and said that she could go and he didn't need anything from her yet. Then the gentleman turned around and warned her not to do anything on her own, because he didn't need it. A moment later, he hugged the Chin-chan girl and they walked out onto the balcony, talking. The guest who was given to the master harbored a grudge against the girl and the owner. She looked at the couple with a jealous gaze. The master then decided to think alone about why he was completely deprived of a love interest, but something still bothered him. He reflected that the destitute lands were completely devastated. The master wanted to figure out why the true owner of his body came down to the devastated lands and closed his world, because then it is connected with the true body of the divine demon inside me. There were actually two ways. The first, to expel the true demon body from his body, suppress and seal it. The second way is to show your essence and become the highest demon, destroying all living things. The solution has not yet been determined, so the young man decided to deal with the pendant of the chosen Chuane. He thought why Mei Feno was so persistent, because she did not come to the aid of the warrior. Our hero stood on the roof of the sect's palace and thought that now he would not be able to reveal the secret of the amulet, while he needed to go to Chin Fen to find out everything. The airship, in front of which was a dragon figure, was ready to depart. On its deck stood the elder's daughter and Master Lin Seo. The girl's father stood on the ground and waved his hand at them. The father shouted for them to be careful on the way. The girl waved her hand at him and said that everything would be okay, so that he wouldn't worry. Fen Sayo was also on the deck of the ship. After some time, the aircraft was already in the clouds and flying among high mountains. Birds hovered near him. So soon the ship sailed over the place where the young man stood below with his people. A young man found a treasure map that was hidden inside a magic fish, but there were no indications or directions on the map. The find was discovered by young Ifan. He looked at the map and thought that it should be used in conjunction with an explanatory item to determine the location of the hidden treasure. Suddenly, everyone looked up. There was an airship flying by, with the image of a dragon in front of it. Everyone shouted that this was the Lin family's ship. The young man, looking at the ship, thought what such a gentleman from the land of saints was doing in these domains. Suddenly, someone called Ifan to the ship. The guy shouted that Lin Sayo wanted to see him. The boy from the ship shouted that a banquet was being held in honor of the master's arrival, and the Lord of the Holy Lands wanted to see him too, especially since Xinchan's cousin had also arrived. The young man was surprised by what he heard. Ifan appeared in the banquet hall, where the feast was in full swing. Everyone tried to please the guest, offering him wine and food. One gentleman especially praised their local chickens. Another offered wine. The master sat in the center of the round table. On both sides of it sat the girls Chin Chan and Fen Sayo. They were courting the master from the Holy Lands. Everyone tried to please him. When the young man who came in saw this scene, he thought that the impudent, lustful gentleman from a famous family was very spoiled. Ifan was not pleased that the master hugged two girls at once. The lord, seeing the guy, told the former bride that her groom turned out to be handsome. She said, embarrassed, for him to stop joking. Fen Zio's father said that as such a beauty, some guy born without powers might be suitable, so they broke off the engagement a long time ago. The young man who arrived sat down at the table and immediately drank a glass of wine. Our hero, seeing this, approached the daughter of the elder of the Order of the Sword and told her to come to his room and he would show her a new technique. Ifan thought that his ex-bride was corrupt and ready to do anything for money, but he didn't understand what his cousin Chin Chan was doing near the master. Suddenly, the master stood up and had a glass of wine in his hand. He picked it up and said that he was glad to see Ifan's cousin, whom Xinchan spoke about, because he remains adamant, even though he has no abilities. The young man sat very sad. Then the master said that he promised him to find a way to heal him in the ancient sects of the land of saints with 1,000-year heritage. Someone pulled Ifan by the clothes and told the young man not to remain silent, but to thank the gentleman. At that hour, the young man raised his glass and shouted that he thanked the master for his care and would be glad if he helped. The lord from the Holy Lands raised his glass and thought that he was patient and did not succumb to his provocation, and this chosen one was a very interesting young man. After the banquet, everyone began to accompany the gentleman to his apartment, along with the two beauties. Then everyone decided to take their leave and leave, leaving the master with two girls. Ifan looked at this show and thought how these rich people flatter those with power. The young man turned around and left to be alone. The young man thought that if he wanted to fight Lin Sayo, he would need to become stronger. He sat in the lotus position and thought that now the treasure that his mother had placed in his sea would come in handy. The young man closed his eyes and was transported. A tall, multi-tiered building appeared in front of him, which stood high in the mountains. It was an abandoned tower of 8 colors. The young man appeared in front of her. There was a demonic monkey sitting on the roof of the building. She said mockingly that he was very patient today, because he didn't do anything when his girlfriend was hugged. The guy shouted at the animal so that it would not be forgotten, because it was only a demonic creature imprisoned in a tower of only 8 colors and was subordinate to him. The monkey, jingling his jewelry, laughed and said he was joking. Then the cunning animal added that he had an idea. The guy asked what the idea was. The demonic creature told the owner to free him, and he would destroy the master guest from the northern lands. Hearing these words, the demon monkey looked angry. The guy shouted that she should not even dream. Ifan said that if he releases the demon, he will first of all kill him first. The demon fell to the ground because his owner quickly figured out his plan. The monkey said that he had been discovered. The monkey looked mysteriously at the owner and said that the guy should not say later that the creature did not warn him. The creature told Ifan that Lin Sayo has an ominous, demonic aura. It makes the animal tremble, although it has met many demons, so you can't be its target. Be careful. The young guy thought that the master had a big secret, because even the demonic monkey could not see anything through his aura. Guy Ifan thought that now we need to speed up the search for treasure, since it is completely in the hands of the master from the Holy Lands. The next day, there were many people at the market in the city. Some warriors were on horses, commoners were in search of robots and food. Ifan came to one of the shops, because after casting the spell, it seemed to him that the key to the map was somewhere here. He carefully examined everything that was sold in the store, and even looked under the table. Suddenly, the young man saw an iron plate with the image of a dragon. Ifan asked the seller how much the plate cost. He replied that it was 5 spirit stones. The young man paid and took the purchase. Master Lin Sayo was secretly watching all this. He was peeking out from behind the wall and didn't want the guy to notice him. After some time, the young treasure hunter was on the spot with a shovel. He dug a hole in the soil and said that although it was hidden shallow, it was difficult to find, and now he would see what was hidden here. The treasure hunter found a wooden box in which a pink pill was hidden. Ifan said that this is an excellent compressed spirit pill. The guy looked at the pill and thought that if he took it, he would become stronger. Then he looked at the map. There, on the image of a dragon on his head, another treasure location was indicated. At this time, the master from the Holy Lands was constantly watching the treasure hunter guy. The observer thought that the young man, Ifan, was very good at treasure hunting. The master once also tried to look for treasure, but with his luck as a villain, he couldn't do it. Therefore, Lin Sayo thought that now, with a good treasure hunter, things will be different. The young man who found the pill decided to take it immediately. He opened his mouth and swallowed the medicine. The guy felt a powerful force added to his body. He got new sensations. The treasure hunter did not expect that this pill would be so powerful. It helped him rise. In addition, the first level of the abandoned tower of 8 colors was opened to the guy, so the owner of the demonic monkey will now be able to fully control the creature. The master chuckled quietly as he saw the treasure hunter reveal his secretive side to him. Lin Sayo thought how the chosen one couldn't have secrets. Suddenly, some hands appeared out of the ground there. The master began to fall somewhere and flew down. He shouted what it was. The young man did not understand where he ended up. There was a black space with chains below. The guy shouted where he was. He realized that this was his consciousness, and he was inside himself. if he thought about it, his biggest secret was the demon inside him. The young man saw 9 holes, which symbolized the 9 cycles through which the body of the divine demon passed. The monster's body was chained with many chains that surrounded its body. The creature was very strong, but chained below the ground. She said to give him the body. The master stood in front of the chained demon. He asked the monster if he was a divine demon. The creature again ordered the body to be given to him. The guy said he wasn't worthy of his body. The demon shouted that if the master gave up his body, he would die quickly. The creature was angry and rattled its chains. The monster threatened to pull the soul out of the guy so that he could not be reborn again. Linseo screamed and jumped up. He didn't understand what was happening. He had a terrible nightmare. The master said that the divine demon destroyed his consciousness. He lost sight of the treasure hunter and rolled down the hill, then grabbed his head. Then the young man looked at his hand, which had changed its color, and said in fear what was wrong with his hand. He didn't understand what was happening to his body. Some voice inside him said that if he did not give up his body, he would suffer. The gentleman fell to the ground and began to writhe in convulsions. The demon laughed with Linseo and told the master to beg him to kill him, not to torture him. The guy thought how he could let the demon go, but now he seriously wants to take his body. Therefore, before it was too late, the master decided to shoot himself in the hand. He took out a pistol. It's good that it was loaded. A shot rang out that scared all the birds in the forest. But then everything calmed down and the sky became clear. The horseman slowly rode up to the city gates. It was Master Lin Sayo. He slowly, holding his shoulder, rode into the city on a black horse. His head drooped. He thought it was good that he was able to suppress the consciousness of the demon, and the terrible thing did not happen. The rider thought how the seal holding back the demon might have weakened since it had absorbed his consciousness. Maybe it was related to the chosen Ifan. The young horseman thought that he therefore had to hurry, because the secret of the treasure collector was somehow connected with the demon. If he relaxed, then his villain would be killed by the chosen one. In the city, all the people suddenly looked up. Pieces of the sky fell directly on people, and a black hole formed there. People screamed that the sky was falling. This is the end. Is something terrible going to happen? Suddenly, the divine messenger Qin Jian appeared from a hole in the sky with a sword. He said that he was a divine messenger from the upper world and came down here to find the divine demon. The messenger told everyone that if they knew anything about the demon, they should immediately tell him everything. The heavenly warrior told the citizens of the 4 devastated lands that they were in danger, and if they did not tell everything they knew, they would be punished in the same way as a demon. Qin Jian was very angry at the people who all stood silently. The master said to himself quietly that this would be a disaster. After a while, the chosen Ifan stood bending over his secret card. He thought that the demon that appeared in their lands was very dangerous, but it was good that a messenger had arrived. The young man thought that he could open the abandoned tower of 8 colors and defeat the demon before the messenger. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Ifan said, "Who is there?" It was cousin Shinchan, who came with a flask of wine. Immediately, a chicken and a flask of wine appeared on the table. The guest laughed merrily with her cousin. The guy was pleased with the girl's company. He said that she remembers everything and that he loves wine. She said that she had not forgotten the incident when he was beaten, and she healed his wounds and secretly carried wine. The guy also remembered everything. He looked at the girl without taking his eyes off. She was cheerful and friendly. Suddenly, the young man noticed her bandaged hand. He asked the beauty what was wrong with her hand. She replied that it was nothing. Ifan told her not to be afraid and to tell him everything. Then he asked his cousin why she was with the master. The guy moved even closer to her and asked what the master did to her. That she was clinging to him all evening at the banquet because the Chin-chan girl he remembers was different. The girl prayed that her cousin would not provoke Master Lin Seo. since he is the strongest of all in the 4 devastated lands. And besides, he is also a womanizer and has seduced many girls in her sect. The girl said sadly, because she once said something that the gentleman from the Holy Land did not like, and he beat her and injured her hand. The guy, hearing this, became very angry, and in his thoughts, he wanted to kill the offender. Then the girl approached him and told him to take her with him, and they left this place together. Then the guy told the girl that he would definitely save her, and they would leave together, but they needed to wait a couple of days. Cousin Sinchan agreed. The young man took out a jade pendant from the table. It was an amulet consisting of 2 halves, yin and yang. The guy said, dividing the pendant, that the 2 parts of the pendant feel each other at a distance. The young man gave her 1 half of the pendant and kept the other for himself. The guy said that he knows that she is having difficulties now, so he gives her half of the jade amulet. The girl took the pendant and said that now she would rely on it, that it would save her when Master Lin Sayo raised his hand against her. The guy said at the end of their meeting that he needed a little more time, and he would defeat the offender and take her with him from this place. Then the girl left her cousin's room. She thought it was amazing how a guy could remain calm in such a state. Suddenly, on her way home, a change happened to her, and the girl turned back into Master Lin Sayo. He thought that his transformation was a success. Now he had learned a lot about the enemy. The gentleman thought that compared to the first chosen Chuane, this guy is very difficult and more capable, so it must be taken into account that it is unknown what he is capable of. At this time, 2 girls were talking in the master's room. Fen Sayo told Chin-chan that how she manages to get along so well with the master, because he doesn't even laugh with anyone except her. The holy girl poured blue tea for her guest. She told the daughter of the patriarch of the Sword Order that the blue tea brought from the mountain was very tasty. The guest brought the tea to her mouth. At this time, Fen Zio asked what exactly she did to win the young master's heart. The girl told Fen Zio that she advised her to save her strength if she wanted to use the charm technique. The more she tried to charm him, the more he would not like her. Fen Zio laughed and said that she would listen to her advice, but the master was really pissing her off. The girl turned away and walked towards the exit. She said, "If someone doesn't want to give advice, then it's better not to give it. What's the point in pretending to be a righteous woman?" The Fen Sayo girl was angry with her rival. She quickly left and went to her room. Suddenly, behind her, she heard a man's voice. It was Ifan. He asked the girl, because it means that it also happens that the Holy of Holies of the Gan Mei sect cannot seduce a man. The guy came closer and said that she liked being a slave so much. The girl proudly answered her ex-fiancé that his sister, cousin Sinchan, also belonged to the young master Lin Sayo. The beauty added that the master is a genius from the Holy Lands, and one movement of his finger can bring a blessing to the devastated lands that they cannot even imagine. Then the girl said that he had better mind his own business and that he should not pester her, otherwise the gentleman would misunderstand her. To which the guy said if she wanted to kill Lin Sayo with him. The girl was scared. She giggled and said that something hit Ifan on the head, and he completely lost his mind, because he will die fighting the master and wants her to die with him. The young man said that what fool would cooperate with someone who cannot win? Then he spread his hands and created a picture visible only to him. The wind shook everything around. A tower of 8 flowers appeared behind the young man. The guy said that she is sure of it. Welcome to the mysterious tower. The girl was amazed. A magic tower appeared to her, as if in reality. Then a huge demonic monkey appeared behind the young man. The young man said that he wanted to introduce her to Miyonga. He doesn't have much of a character. He can eat her just on a whim. Ifan said to the girl standing in front of the demonic creature that she now understands that he can defeat the master, especially since he is not interested in her at all. What is the point of serving Lin Seo? The young man invited his ex-fiancée to collaborate with him, and then the 2 of them would share his entire fortune. The girl repeated his last words that they could share the master's treasures. The guy asked Fentazio whether she would serve Master Linseo like a mongrel without any hope, or cooperate with him and do something great that she chose. The girl thought about it and looked at the guy who was confident in his abilities and said that she was ready to serve Ifan. The guy said that she was great and a reasonable person submits to circumstances. The beauty told the guy that her family was wrong about him. Because it was not true that he was too weak, she did not believe it, but now she is happy to see him in his prime. Then the girl approached the young man and said that it was her family's idea to refuse to marry him, and she did not want to do this at all, so when they deal with Lin Sayo, they should get married. The young man smiled and said that, of course, when everything is over, they will definitely resume their relationship and marry each other. After that, the girl moved back to her reality. Young Ifan stayed near the tower. The demonic monkey asked him if it was dangerous, because he had revealed all his plans to the girl. The monkey demon said that at first this girl was just mocking him, saying that he was a loser, but then, after seeing his abilities, she changed and started fawning over him like a two-faced whore. The young man said that Fentsayo is indeed a hypocrite who goes with the flow, but that is also good. The monkey said that he agreed with the owner's opinion. The guy added that his bride clings to the master because of his wealth, so she is ready to betray him for the sake of this same wealth. As for marriage, then after everything he will force her to remain silent about it. The monkey's owner, pointing his index finger at the animal, said that success depends only on the demon monkey. The young man hoped this time that there would be no restrictions. He told the creature that he had unlocked all of its seals and now it must kill Lin Sayo. The huge monster said that finally, at least once, he knew what he was doing. And with a level like his, it would not be a problem to kill an insect like this master from the Holy Lands. Voices were heard in the master's residence. It was the girl, Fen Zayo, who came to the master's room. The girl said that Ifan, along with his demon monkey, wants to attack him the day after tomorrow. The beauty said that the monkey demon and his master would come when the master was not ready, and she was also ordered to take some of his things from him. The master sat all this time in his chair and chewed an apple. He asked the girl what exactly they ordered her to bring. Fentzayo said she was ordered to bring some of his hair and pieces of his nails. The young master threw away the apple he had not eaten, stood up, and took a knife. He cut off a bun from his hair with a knife. The young man noticed that these things have only a few uses. Then the gentleman tied the bundle with a white cloth and handed it to the girl. He told the girl to give him a bunch of hair and tell Ifan that he would train in this gym in order to overcome his illness. The girl replied that she would do everything as he ordered and left. The master thought that it seemed that young Ifan had already thought of everything. The gentleman mentally reflected on how the chosen ones acted differently. The impatient Chuane and the expectant Ifan, who calculated each of his moves in advance. For the master from the Holy Lands, it was interesting why Ifan would initiate everyone who had offended him before into his secret plan, only to cast a net and catch them all in a trap. Mr. Linseo said to himself that the game of revealing Ifan's secret plan could turn against the young man, and this could be his fatal mistake. Then he shouted to get the cart ready. The young master from the Holy Lands wanted to invite the heavenly messenger to discuss something. He sent a cart for the guest. Sometime later, when the envoy arrived, they were sitting at the table and drinking tea. The ambassador said that in the 4 devastated lands, the aura is very weak and the cultivation is very poor. The owner poured the guest blue tea from the mountains. The master asked the guest that he probably didn't really like being here. The young man was sitting at the table opposite the messenger and said that he did not expect to meet the divine messenger, Xin Zhen, from the Holy Church here on an official mission. The heavenly messenger, who was wearing a round hat and carrying his sword, said that killing the reincarnations of the divine demon was the duty of the Holy Church. The young man asked his interlocutor that he was joking. If there was a real danger of the appearance of a divine demon, then all 4 envoys should have arrived in these lands. The master continued that how come it was that only the Qin Zhen ambassador arrived himself. At these words, the guest only chuckled, Then, upon reflection, the heavenly warrior added sternly that it was not with his insignificant strength to speak such speeches. The guest said that yesterday the Saint Sovereign felt the aura of the divine demon that appeared in the four devastated lands, but it was short-lived and did not reach the first level. The warrior continued that the pack alone is enough, because the seals that sealed the demon are still in place. The guy asked the guest if the envoy was really so confident in himself that he didn't even think about defeat. The heavenly messenger laughed and said that this is also not excluded. But if it comes to this... At these words, the guest fell silent. Then the warrior jumped up abruptly and said that he would simply kill him to make amends. Then our hero asked him firmly that the divine messenger was really ready to kill an innocent person. The messenger shouted that this was not true. As the master of the eagle demons of 1,000 paths, he mocked people despite their origins, and he also forced the Ganmei sect to give him a saint as his wife. The warrior said that the stupid people of the Four Lands do not know who he really is, and treat him as a revered guest. And with his reputation in the Holy Land, they will only be happy if he kills him. At these words, the young man took up his pistol and said that the heavenly ambassador was not afraid of the revenge of his parents. Lin Sayo turned the barrel of the pistol, still lying on the table, towards Xinjian. Then the warrior stood up abruptly, the sword flashing in his hands, which he had prepared to strike. He said that divine messengers do not fear the strong. The guy fired a pistol. Suddenly, a storm arose. This demonic monkey began its attack on the hall, where Master Lin Sayo and the messenger were located. The doors of the hall and its walls shook, and stones fell from them. The ambassador looked around. A huge demonic monkey appeared there, destroying everything in its path. The creature screamed that it had come to kill Lin Sayo. It hit with its paws the building where the master's hall was, destroying it. The ambassador was unharmed and stood next to the body of the master, who was pushed down by the structures from the building. Stones covered his body, except for his head. Xinjian said that even the villagers themselves want to kill him. The heavenly warriors said that if it weren't a demonic beast, he would have enjoyed watching it tear Lin Sayo to pieces. The monkey demon, seeing the ambassador, began to attack him. The demonic monkey tried to catch the messenger with its paw and thought why this green bastard was so strong, because Ifan assured that he had foreseen everything. The heavenly warrior rushed to pursue the enemy. He rose high into the sky and asked where he wanted to escape. At this time, seeing that the divine ambassador was busy with others, our hero got out from under the stones and shook himself off. He said that the envoy must have gone to fetch Ifan to fight. Lin Sayo remembered seeing a bell on the envoy's hat. This is probably some kind of treasure, and in the future you need to be very careful with the ambassador. But now it's Ifan's turn to meet him. At this time, young Ifan was standing on the cliff near the 8-flower tower. He looked into the distance and said that it was strange that the demon monkey had been gone for too long. Then the young man looked at the tower and saw that the demonic monkey was afraid of something and hid in the tower. The guy said the creature was useless. The monkey lord guy wondered what Master Lin Sayo used to scare the demonic monkey so much that it hid in the tower. Then the young man took out a lock of his enemy's hair and said that he still had a trump card. This is the soul-destroying art of cursing. The young man's face changed and became evil and insidious. The youth Ifan began his witchcraft and felt a demonic aura. He thought what a coincidence. He was shaking all over and had chills. Suddenly, the guy raised his head and saw the messenger, who also felt a demonic aura, emanating from the young man from behind a strand of Lin Sayo's hair. The ambassador shouted that he was the reincarnation of a demon. Ifan shouted to the messenger that he had misunderstood, because he was a guy who was born with a defect and could not cultivate. The ambassador looked carefully at the young man. The guy was trembling all over, although he tried to appear calm. He told the ambassador that everyone in the city knew about his defect and how he could not be a divine demon. But the ambassador tapped his finger on the bell. Waves of holy energy arose there, which exploded the ground in the place where the young man stood. The messenger said that the youth could still escape, even after one of his attacks. Ambassador Qin Zhen said that, after all, this guy is the reincarnation of a divine demon and should not be underestimated. The heavenly warrior couldn't believe it, but he no longer felt his aura. Yifan's guy probably had a treasure hiding his presence, but the ambassador knew that such a treasure usually lasts for a limited time and cannot be permanent. The ambassador rose high above the city and told the inhabitants of the 4 devastated lands to listen to his order that the youth Yifan, as the reincarnation of a divine demon, must be killed. The ambassador added that those who want to hide him will be enemies of the Holy Church. At this time, Yifan flew far away. He did not understand what was happening. One thing was clear. Master Lin Xiao had set him up. The guy was wounded. He quickly ran away into the forest. He thought since he was framed as the reincarnation of a divine demon and was being hunted by the church, there was no hope left for him in these lands. The guy had only one hope of finding treasure in the secret kingdom of the primeval dragon. The young man was holding in his hand half of the pendant, which he thought he had given to the Qin Chan girl. Young Yifan thought about the beauty and told her to wait until he became stronger and came to save her. At this time, our hero was holding the second half of the amulet, which Yifan thought he gave to his cousin. Lin Xiao said that there is no need to wait. He will find the enemy himself. The chosen one was considered evil. The system added 1,000 points to our villain for setting up the chosen one. Lin Xiao was glad that his fate tokens increased. The young man was glad that now he could play the gacha game. He decided to look for a secluded place for this. At this time, the beautiful Xin Chan was taking a shower and humming a melody to herself. She scrubbed her feet with soap. Then the girl, hearing some sound, tied a light cloth around her body. The girl noticed a dark figure. She was scared. It was Master Lin Xiao, who came up from behind and hugged the beauty. The girl asked if it was him. The young man told her not to be afraid and put her hand here. Xin-chan didn't understand. Then the young man repeated for her to come closer and put her hand here. He showed the girl the screen. She clicked and activated the option. The first thing the girl won was an explosive item that can blow up anything its owner wants and can be used 3 times. The second item was a headband with trees on it. If you put it on your head, the enemy will see you as a tree, but all this works for an enemy who has a lower level than you. The third item that the gacha participant won was a jade ring that nourishes the soul. The young master was not very happy about the things that the girl won for him. He put the jade ring that nourishes the soul in his bag. I took the rest of the items with me. Then the master turned around and told the girl that Yifan is now possessed by a divine demon, and it is very dangerous, so he goes to destroy it, and she should stay here in the city. But Xin-chan pleaded with him. She firmly said that she wanted to go with the young master because she was his servant and should be nearby. The master approached the girl and looked at her carefully and told the beauty, either she really wants to be a servant or wants to go further. The girl smiled mysteriously, imagining more than what actually happened. She said that if the young master doesn't mind, then she could. At these words, the master abruptly cut her off and said that, stop dreaming, since his future wife is a great beauty from the Holy Lands. So how can a simple hillbilly be suitable for him? The girl sadly told the master to forgive her. She went too far and began to daydream. After these words, the guy was blown away by the wind. Fan Xiao, who heard the end of their conversation, just laughed. The Chin-chan girl burst into tears and told her to laugh as much as she wanted. Fan Xiao replied that the young master made a deal with her and rewarded her with an extraordinary elixir. The rival told Xin-chan that she wanted to remind her that the young master was not on their level. The girl from the Order of the Sword thought about what her rival said. The insidious girl of the Ganmei sect, smiling mysteriously, said that it is better to look for benefits, as she did. Then you will not be left with nothing. The master raced quickly on his skeletal horse. He thought about the chosen one. Thoughts were confused in my head. He thought, after all, he is a villain, and he and the Chosen One have different paths. At this time, Ifan stood in front of the gate to the secret realm. He said, "Who would have thought that the secret kingdom would be hidden right here? Because those who do not have a map will never find this place." The gates of the secret kingdom opened before the young man, and he ran inside. He thought that there were more treasures inside, and today was the day he would destroy Lin Sayo. At this time, having put a hoop on his head and turned into a tree, our hero watched the treasure hunter. The master said that the praying mantis catches the insect while the bird is behind. Young Ifan had been standing near the ancient mask for 2 hours and could not figure out its secret in order to move forward in his search. All this time, our hero was hiding behind a stone. He was already tired of waiting. Master Lin Sayo thought that Ifan's ability to find treasures had probably decreased because he had lost a lot of fate points, but he needed help to solve the problem with the ancient mask on the wall. The young treasure hunter looked at the mask on the wall and said to himself, "Why the mystery of this secret kingdom is so difficult?" At this time, our hero, from afar, threw a pebble right into the mask's eye. A second later, something began to move in the ancient mask. Ifan looked at her eye again, but stood undecided on what to do next. Then our hero again threw a pebble from afar into the eye of the mask. The treasure hunter said that this piece didn't look any different from the others. But something about the mask has changed. Suddenly, Ifan turned around at the rustling sound and shouted who was there. He turned around and saw a green tree, so the guy calmed down. Then, in the mask, due to pebbles getting into her eye, the mechanism started. The ancient mask rose, and a passage in the wall appeared. The young treasure hunter said that he was a genius and easily solved this riddle to start this complex ancient mechanism. The young man proceeded into the cave, then there were steps down, and he found himself in a large area, in the middle of which a huge tree grew. The guy was surprised who could build all this. Our hero followed the Chosen One secretly. On the wall, he saw an ancient fresco. It showed a demonic creature. Then the great man called on everyone to fight against the demon. But people could not win. The demon was too strong. Then the man sacrificed himself to cut the demonic creature into 9 parts and seal them separately. On the fresco, there was an image of a demon in the form of an old tree with a very strange and scary face and a long, hooked nose, because this tree could be a sealed area. In an instant, it even seemed to those looking at the tree that the eyes that were on the tree opened a little and then closed again, as if it were awakening from a 1,000-year sleep. The tree threw away Ifan, who came close. It all creaked. The treasure hunter flew away from the tree to the side. The guy thought that this ancient-looking tree was actually a demonic tree. The demonic tree roared and groaned so that the person who came would leave, because the creature sealed her as the greatest evil in the world and cannot be touched by mere mortals. The Chosen One thought that the tree guarded a secret treasure and he would have it to finish off Lin Sayo. Our hero thought that this tree was the boss of the lowest floor, and Ifan would weaken him, and then he would finish him off. Ifan summoned his demon monkey to defeat the tree. He shouted that what was happening was a monkey, mortally frightened of the heavenly messenger, and did not want to fight. His body was thrown to the side. The treasure hunter sat on the ground and said that the demon monkey was trash that he couldn't even count on. At this time, our hero was watching everything. He hoped the fight would continue. Ifan saw that there was no help from anyone, so he decided that he would do it himself. He concentrated and called for help from 8 colored towers. Then the young man rushed to attack the demonic tree. The Chosen One had more than one trump card up his sleeve, although his demonic animal did not listen to him, afraid of the messenger, so the young man had to use other methods to fight the tree. Our hero made himself comfortable to watch from afar as the young man Ifan fought the demonic tree. The master arranged for himself a comfortable chair and a bottle of wine behind the stone. The villain, Lin Sayo, decided to watch how the Chosen One would fight. Time passed. The situation did not change. A whole hour has already passed. The wine was drunk by the master. He started to get nervous. It was impossible. The gentleman from the Holy Lands was no longer interested in watching what was happening. Ifan still hasn't defeated the Nether boss after an hour. This was too much, and had no prospects. The master remembered his former life, when he was a writer. Most often, the battle in stories has low creative potential and takes a lot of time. This is the most popular scene for bad writers. However, our hero thought that the young treasure hunter was taking too long with this. How outrageous it was, because this was due to his low level. Master Lin Sayo is tired of watching. The villain is tired of staring at the blue screen. He said the young man was fighting at the snail's pace he used to solve puzzles at. The demonic tree groaned and threw the guy back, and he, like a bad dancer, moved around him. All this was due to the diminishing value of his destiny. The system showed that Ifan has only 100. The young secret treasure seeker wondered why this demonic tree was so difficult to deal with. Because previously in the past, an opponent of this level would have been destroyed by just a few attacks. Suddenly, something changed. The demonic tree succumbed to the attacks, and soon the young man saw a depression on a large stump, and in it some small object. The guy shouted that this was a secret treasure. Our hero, watching this scene, sensed a catch. He thought that many bosses of the lower worlds fake their deaths and lure inexperienced opponents into their traps. The big stump looked very convincing. There were some white flowers growing around it. Young Ifan was a few steps away from him. He was blinded by luck that he was about to have this treasure. Our hero thought how important it was to deliver the final blow correctly. After all, clouded by his victory, the enemy does not understand what is really happening around him. The master remembered that the treasure hunter only has 100 value of his destiny. Especially will the opponent be able to discover the hidden danger for himself in this harmless stump with white flowers. Ifan said that with such a treasure, he will not even be afraid of the divine messenger and will take revenge on all his offenders, the bride's family and the girl, and most importantly, he will kill Master Lin Sayo. Young Ifan's eyes were clouded with revenge and jealousy. After seeing such a treasure, he lost his head. He approached the stump and reached out his hand to take the treasure lying on it. Mr. Villain thought feverishly. After all, Ifan only has 100 fate value, and he can just die now. If it is a trap, then the system will not count his death as a plus for the master. Suddenly, our hero rushed to the young man shouting, "Hey, wait! Don't go near that demonic tree!" The treasure hunter withdrew his hand and turned around. He shouted why Lin Sayo was here. The young man shouted loudly that he knew it, because the insidious master was waiting for him to get the treasure, so that later, when he did not notice, he would secretly take the prize. Our hero ran closer. The gentleman said, "Although what you said is true, but for now, listen to what I say now." But Ifan interrupted him, telling him to shut up, and after so many years of humiliation, he wants to take revenge on everyone. Ifan said that Fen Zhao's ex-fiancée despises him, but worships the master, and Xin Chan, who is very important to him, because Lin Sayo offends her. So he wants to kill the offender. Our hero thought that it was all over. The treasure hunter was not listening to him at all, so only the language of power remained. The master made several jumps, trying to force the enemy to follow him. Young Ifan rushed after the enemy. He shouted to Lin Sayo that he would not let him leave. The young man threw a fireball towards the enemy. Our hero defended himself. But then something unusual happened. Ifan began to cough loudly because he was close to the stump. An experienced master said, "This is controversy. Anyone who inhales the spores turns into a monster." The treasure hunter began to turn into a monster. His body had changed. It was overgrown with some kind of tree bark, especially his right arm. Half of him was no longer a man, but a monster. Ifan said that he allowed everyone to look down on him, but now he will kill everyone who caused him suffering. He coughed and made animal sounds. The monster rushed at our hero. It screamed for Lin Sayo to go to hell. His blow missed the target as our hero managed to jump away, and the explosion thundered nearby without hitting the enemy. The Lord from the Holy Lands decided to wear a mask. He said there are controversies everywhere, so it's better to be safe than sorry. A black mask protected the master's nose and mouth when breathing. The monster began to strike the enemy with its right hand. The master defended himself with his sword. In a feint, Lin Seo cut off his right hand, which had been transformed by the transformation. Ifan was sent flying some distance by the impact. His hand was half severed. Suddenly, under the influence of regenerative powers, she grew again. This was an action dispute. Our hero thought, although the opponent can regenerate, but now he is completely out of his mind and does not pose much of a threat, so it is better to deal with the boss of the lower world first. Master Lin Sayo came up with the idea of using the prize that he won in the game to destroy the boss. He discovered a round explosive object that had flammable particles that could destroy spores. Combustible particles have spread in a confined space. They were highly flammable. The master calculated everything so as not to get hurt himself. He walked away and hid at a safe distance. A few moments later, when the air was saturated with flammable particles, a strong explosion occurred. Our hero said that art is an explosion. After the smoke cleared, a deep crater from the explosion was visible. The master was able to approach the stump, now without fear of becoming infected with the spores that turned a person into a monster. The Lord from the Holy Lands was pleased that his plan had worked with an explosion. He said to himself that this is how to deal with the boss, and now gently look at what happened to that bastard Ifan. At this time, the young treasure hunter who was wounded by the master was sitting on the ground. He repeated the same thing, like a spell, that he would kill those who looked down on him. A minute later, Ifan's phrase was, "Why can't I kill all those who look down on me?" His body took on a human form. This was due to the fact that the boss's spores were destroyed. Our hero came closer to his enemy, who was sitting on the ground. He said, because Chin-chan told him that when she was a child, the other brothers bullied Ifan, and she helped him. The wounded opponent shouted for the master not to approach him. Lin Seo said that was when he fell in love with his cousin. Chosen Ifan quietly said to the girl to save him. Our hero sat down next to the defeated enemy and said that his opponent should not hope that the girl would not come to save him. The Lord from the Holy Lands looked sadly at his enemy and said that Shin-chan pitied him like a cousin, because she did not love him at all. Lin Sayo took out half of a jade pendant from his pocket and, showing it to the Chosen One, said that he gave him the pendant pretending to be his Chin-chan, and everything else was a pretense and a lie. A look of disappointment appeared on Ifan's face. He understood the baseness of the master and the fact that that day at the banquet, the girl Chin-chan was happy and pleased to be next to his enemy, Lin Sayo. The Chosen One said that it means that the communication between him and the girl that day was pleasant for both of them. It was becoming increasingly difficult for him to speak. Blood was coming from his mouth. Then he said he couldn't do it anymore. The wounded youth looked very pitiful. He was breathing raggedly and told his opponent that if he vowed to take good care of the Shin-chan girl, then he would give him all his treasures. The master, after listening to him, said that he swears with all his heart to take care of Chin-chan, and if he goes back on his words, then his heart will be destroyed, and now he can be calm. The young dying Ifan said that he was calm now, so he should extend his hand. The master extended his hand to meet the hand of the Chosen One. Suddenly the enemy shouted, "Go to hell!" and grabbed the master's hand. Ifan attacked his opponent with all his remaining forces, but our hero was on the alert. He plunged his sword into the body of the enemy. Because behind all this performance, he expected a trick from the Chosen One. The villain, Lin Sayo, knew how important it was to see things through to the end. The fact that, in the end, the Chosen One decided to use interest in his girlfriend is just a tool of pressure. Our hero stood above the enemy, whose minutes were numbered. He said that such a vengeful Chosen One wanted to make a deal with the enemy, exchanging all his treasures for the safety of Chin-chan. The master knew that the essence of the Chosen Ones is selfishness. He said that he would never fall for such tricks. Now he needs to finish what he started and deal with the system. Lin Sayo stood over the enemy's body, which gradually turned into sand and stones, losing its human basis. A light smoke rose from it, upward to the heavens. The villain thought that it was finally over. A slight smile was on his face. But then his expression changed. Beads of sweat appeared on his face. What would the system count? He thought. The young man shouted that didn't Ifan only have 100 fate value? He thought he made him angry in the end, and she disappeared. The totem revealed that the owner killed the Chosen One and receives 1,000 villain points. But he also deserves punishment. It can be in 3 versions. The young man shouted for everything to stop. The punishment was imposed because the Chosen One retained the value of fate. A minute later, the choice of punishment was launched, as dials began to flash in the casino and stopped at. The choice settled on, increase the demonic aura little. Then the young man realized that the severity of the punishment depended on the amount of remaining value in the fate of the Chosen One. Our hero remembered when he first killed the first Chosen One, Chuane. He had 400 fate value, so that's why the punishment was so severe. Now everything was different for him. Lin Sayo said to himself as he looked at the pile of stones left by the enemy that Ifan only had 100 fate value. So this time the punishment was only a slight increase in demonic energy. The master asked the totem of the system, or whether the remaining value of the Chosen One's fate is the only thing that influences the punishment of the system. Totem replied, no. The lord from the northern lands asked then, what else influences? He was very angry with the system, which kept delaying its response, as if deliberately prolonging the intrigue. Then, a minute later, when the villain was already tired of waiting, the totem said that the information was prohibited, but this function had not yet been unlocked. The master said that the system was slow and gave an answer after a long pause. The young man felt very bad. He was sweating and nervous because he had a negative feeling. He had the feeling that his demonic aura was increasing. The guy stood and looked at the impulses emanating from his body. Suddenly, the wind began to blow out the candles, and it seemed to the young man that someone was coming for him. It was a heavenly messenger. He said, I found you. Our hero had an extraordinary feeling. He thought about how to control his aura, which has demonic energy. It's like walking on the edge of a knife. The young man thought that this could also be compared to a glass full of water, which could spill at any moment if he is not careful. There was uncertainty in the guy's eyes. His whole body was tense. He held his head in his hands. He thought that if he couldn't control it properly, he would definitely be in trouble since he was a villain after all. The system gave the storage option. Then Lin Sayo thought that it was better not to stay here anymore, so he should take the trophies and deal with them later. The guy wondered, I wonder what the punishment would be if you kill the Chosen One with the enormous value of fate. At this thought, he broke into a sweat. He remembered how he became a demon who was unforgiving. Our hero heard an explosion ahead of him. His pursuer was overtaking him. Xinjian began to throw fiery rays towards the young man. Our hero put up protection against them. But what irritated Lin Sayo the most was his demonic aura, which had a negative effect on him. The ambassador appeared from behind the clouds. He walked towards the young man. The messenger shouted that they had met again. But he was following the aura of the divine demon reincarnation, and what he found was his Lin Sayo. Our hero was frightened by his words, and it was clear. The villain greeted the messenger. He thought it was very bad that he got scared, and his demonic energy manifested itself with greater force. The ambassador was wary and said that everything was clear to him. Then, moving closer to the young man. He said that the guy invited him to tea so that he accidentally discovered the reincarnation of a divine demon, and now, when he was following the trail, he meets him. The ambassador became more and more serious. His eyes glowed with red lights. He said that there is a demonic aura emanating from him right now, so don't tell me that it's just a coincidence, and you're here by accident. The guy tried to remain calm. He said that the divine messenger was working himself up too much. It was all a coincidence. The young man told the heavenly warrior that he had a proposal for him. The young man continued, "Why don't he do him a favor and pretend you've never seen me here?" The young man acted arrogantly, but what could he do in such a situation? Sin Jen thought about it. His gaze became intent and said, "Do you think this is possible?" Our hero thought that it was becoming more and more difficult to control the demonic aura and prevent it from spreading. The guy knew that the heavenly messengers were very strong, especially this one with a sword and a round hat, is the embodiment of a warrior, the defender of the Holy Church from evil spirits, so he would not be able to fight with him. But Sinjen had already decided everything, so all these words were just stalling for time. There was no doubt that the main character would suffer great losses when he began the battle with the heavenly warrior. The enemies began a sword fight. The young man thought that, moreover, he was not even a hero but a villain. But what should he do? The rivals' swords met. After the first fight, Lin Seo decided to retreat. The heavenly warrior shouted after him that, after everything, the best he could do was run, and he also wanted to see where the guy intended to run. The young man urgently needed to do something. He began to call with a spell so that the offspring he had sheltered during the battle with Chuain would come to him and help him fight. Red demons appeared. They opened their mouths and sparkled with purple eyes. Our hero pointed to the messenger and told them to grab that blue guy. Sin Jen started slashing at the red demons with his sword. He said they were a bunch of nobodies, so they wouldn't stop him. The ambassador managed to fight demons and watch where the young man wanted to escape. The young man decided to hide among the mountains. But the heavenly messenger followed his trail. Having dealt with the demons, he overtook the guy among the rocks. The warrior defending the church said that he was very happy. Lin Seo asked why he was happy. Sweat rolled down from the guy. He could no longer control his demonic aura. The ambassador told him that it was the duty of the Holy Church to kill the divine demon. The heavenly warrior said that all this is for the sake of innocent people. So today is a very wonderful day when he can fulfill his main task and cleanse the land of people from evil spirits. The young man said it was like killing two birds with one stone. The guy was standing near the wall. The ambassador floated in the air next to him. Lin Seo said that today is a great day for him too. The guy threw an activated bomb with explosive particles, which he won in a gacha, at the ambassador's feet. He smiled and jumped to the side to avoid being hit by the blast wave. There was a big explosion, rocks and sand flying high into the sky. When everything cleared, the figure of a warrior appeared. He said that many who saw him noticed that he was good with a sword. The ambassador continued that because of his skill, he is called the Blue Blade, so everyone thinks that he specializes in swordsmanship among the divine messengers. But they were wrong. The blast completely dissipated from the explosion, and the young man noticed that there was not a single scratch on the warrior. His suit was not even damaged. Not a single fold of his clothing was changed. The guy realized that he was mistaken. Sin Jen, his eyes flashing victoriously, said that he is impenetrable against sword and spear, invulnerable to water and fire. Therefore, he is the best in defense among the divine messengers. The young man listened carefully to the ambassador and thought that he had another option to check. He pulled out his pistol and told the warrior that it meant he specialized in defense. The heavenly messenger stood very close to the young man. He was confident in his invulnerability. The Qin ambassador shouted to his opponent that his cunning tricks could not harm him in any way. The warrior raised his hand, and pointing his finger at the guy, said that if he still had aces up his sleeve, then go ahead. His patience was coming to an end. He had already played enough of cat and mouse and wanted to end it. Our hero decided to use his last chance. He raised the muzzle of his pistol and fired straight at the enemy. Immediately, the warrior fell. Lin Sayo said, "What a coincidence! The gun ignores defense." The heavenly messenger was lying on the ground. Our hero took the sword and decided to end it. He said that he had to finish the job, because otherwise the villain would eventually die. Suddenly, the celestial warrior's appearance changed. Our hero wanted to plunge the sword into the body, but the hand of the man who was lying grabbed the blade of the sword. The warrior said that he could not believe that the enemy had broken through his defenses. Lin Seo was very upset and said that the Holy Church, which prides itself on its righteousness and rushes around the world killing demons, but the divine messenger himself is actually a demon. The messenger's face changed beyond recognition. Not a trace remained of his face. The demon said that he had suffered seriously, so if young Master Lin Sayo ran away, he would not be able to catch up with him. The young man said that the demon was probably joking, because now he would not let the young man go, since he knew his secret, and even if he escaped, the Holy Church would not stop looking for him until he killed him. The master said that there was no turning back, and the only way to get out of here alive was to kill the demon now. Suddenly, the demon jumped sharply with a sword towards the guy. He shouted that he had underestimated him. When an enemy first shows his demonic face, it is accompanied by an increase in his combat abilities. But the young man, his main trump card, is still recharging. Our hero needed to delay the demon at least for a little while. Therefore, the master called the warrior Lin. The young man told him to kill the demon. But this guardian is in the realm of the unformed. The warrior had a sword and a red mask. The demon said that this is just an unformed kingdom that cannot produce something truly strong. The fight began. The master watched it from the side. The enemies threw fiery lightning at each other. Fields of energy collided in a confrontation between demon and warrior. But it was clear that the demon was stronger than Lin. The demon laughed and told Master Lin Sayo to use all his trump cards at once. The monster was confident in its abilities against the red-masked warrior Lin. He threatened that he could end his life. The master also laughed and prepared a surprise for the demon, namely balls with explosives. He squeezed them in his hand and then decided to use them. The young man began throwing cannonballs one after another at the demon and shouted, "Forward!" The red cannonballs filled with explosives became large in size and flew towards Xinjiang. The monster hit the bluebell on his round hat and a protective field was formed. A large white cloud rose from the powerful explosion, hiding the demon's figure. When the clouds of smoke cleared, our hero saw the demon, safe and sound. He told the young man that he had better give up. Lin Sayo told his opponent that the bell can be used for defense against various weapons, and not just for attack. The demonic ambassador said that the bell was universal, and of course, could be used for protection. But the explosion was very impressive. The entire ground around Xinjiang was still smoking from the explosion. The enemy's eyes flashed fiery red, and he told the guy that these cores must be top-class treasures from the Holy Lands. A smile played on his face. The demon assumed that the guy's father must have cared a lot about his unlucky son. These words about the young man's family infuriated Lin Sayo. A lord from the Holy Lands rushed into battle with a sword and shouted to the monster, "Enough!" The rivals began to fight with swords, not sparing each other. It was surprising that a young guy was facing off against an experienced warrior. The enemies crossed swords several times, changing places. The guy held the sword with both hands and withstood the onslaught of the enemy. Then the young man turned around and performed a feint fencing move. The demon shouted to the guy, which is not bad for a loser like him. The experienced warrior decided to tease his young rival. Their swords crossed several more times. Sin Jen said that his swordsmanship was actually quite good, and he was even able to match him. The guy thought, what the hell was he talking about? Because he didn't have a scratch, and the young man was already wounded. Then the demon revealed his plan. He said that it was enough to fool around. Now we need to end this right now. His grimace became even nastier than before. He grimaced and waved his sword. Our hero barely managed to dodge the blow. To do this, he had to use a quick jump technique. The speed of the battle was increasing. The young man had to react to attacks faster and faster. The young man dodged the demon's sword again. He shouted to his opponent that he was acting rather weakly. The enemy replied, "Do you think so?" Suddenly, the young man thought that he would not be able to dodge the last blow. Suddenly, a girl named Shin Chan appeared there, shielded Lin Sayo from the last blow with her body, and shouted, "Young master!" Our hero did not understand where she came from. She was wounded. The guy picked her up and said, "Shin-chan, why are you here?" The girl turned pale and blood began to flow from her mouth. She told him in a low voice to run. The demon gloated and was pleased with what was happening. He said that the young man Lin Sayo was too popular with girls. The monster's eyes flashed and he approached the young man even closer. Our hero rushed to run away with the girl in his arms. He moved as fast as he could. He said as he ran that it was Dao's heart that was damaged. Then he remembered that he had sworn that he would protect Xin-chan, but it turned out that instead, she protected him. His eyes widened even more at this thought. He thought about how it all happened. The guy knelt down and laid the girl on the ground. He thought that this was payment for breaking the oath. The demon overtook him very quickly. Sinjen said that it was all over and swung his sword at the young man. Our hero started bleeding at the mouth. All his energy was diminishing before his eyes. He said it was rubbish. The guy coughed and turned pale. He thought that with Dao's heart broken, he was unable to suppress the divine demon. Qin Zhen moved in to deliver the final blow. The young man was on his knees, bowing before the girl. The demon was surprised by something. He felt something unusual. The messenger turned into a demon, shouted that he sensed a demonic aura. Our hero began to turn into a demon. Strong energies were activated in his body. Light and red rays pierced his body. Lin Sayo was quickly turning into a red demoness. She said she was finally free. She felt a little unusual in her youthful body, but then she got used to it and said that everything was fine. The demoness had long white hair, curled horns, and a round halo on her head. Xinjian stood there and didn't know what to say. Then, after a minute, the demon became speechless and said that the divine demon was actually a woman, and there was no mention of her in the scriptures. The divine demon thought that he had not removed any of his seals, and even if he was alone now, he should be able to act. A second later, Xin Zhen was already running with a sword towards the demoness, wanting to kill her. He told himself to kill her, because by destroying her, he would gain immortality. But the demoness was not a timid one. She calmly walked towards the enemy with a confident gait. Approaching, the monster told Xin Zhen to kneel in front of her. The divine demon did not understand the order, but then he felt his body obey her. The demon girl told her opponent that he was good at falling to his knees, and indeed the demon's body entered the ground up to his chest, so that his head was at the level of her knees. The demon did not understand what was happening, because he could not control his body. It entered the ground more and more. The demon girl said that she is the master of all demons, and if he is a demon, then he will unconsciously obey her. The monster told the enemy to tell her who he was and why he wanted to kill her. On the demoness's face was a large mouth with many teeth. Because of this, she hissed a little when talking. The demon shouted that he was a divine messenger from the Qin Zhen Holy Church, and I arrived in the 4 devastated lands to kill the reincarnation of the divine demon. The demon girl asked what the sacred cult of the Holy Church was, and what its intentions were. The demon's head and neck were only visible, and it was difficult for him to breathe. He said, coughing, that the sacred cult The messenger continued that thousands of years ago, the ancestor of the cult founder sealed away the divine demon and founded the church. Then, thousands of years later, the church became the head of the holy and devastated lands. The mission of the Holy Church is to continuously pursue and kill the reincarnation of the divine demon, and also to stop the revival of the divine demon, because the church has already killed 50 reincarnations. Xin Zhen continued in a hoarse voice that at the same time, in order to reduce the chance of the divine demon being revived, the Holy Church did something. The ambassador told the demon girl, gritting his teeth from the pain in his body, that the Holy Church had founded many large sects to destroy the demonic race and the monster race. A moment later, the ambassador, kneeling, said that in our time the demons have already turned into a rat living on the street, which everyone hunts, and there are only a few dozen demons left on the earth. The demoness still did not fully understand what had happened. She asked the enemy what it meant. They hunt and kill demons everywhere. So this is what happened after the divine demon was sealed. The demon girl said her thoughts out loud that they dared to make her the main target. Then she hit the ground with her foot, and a light ball of energy flashed near the ambassador's body. The ambassador began to cough, but when the light disappeared, he felt relieved and said that he could now control his body. The girl in high heels took a few steps away from him. The monster said, flashing her red eyes at him, "Because doesn't he want to kill her?" The demoness smiled, her toothy smile, and said that she would give the messenger a chance to show what the Holy Church was ready to do to kill the divine demon. Xin Zhen accepted the challenge. With one hand, he pulled off the remnants of his clothes and said that, as expected and as stated in the scriptures, the divine demon is very arrogant. The ambassador's powerful torso was exposed. He added that, of course, no matter whether you are a human or a demon, arrogance can only lead to defeat. The rival asked the demon girl if she knew how much effort the Holy Church had made over the past 1,000 years to prevent the revival of the divine demon. The messenger began to walk towards the girl with long strides and said that he would give her the opportunity to see for herself. The demoness waited, prepared to attack, to see what the ambassador would do. The girl cursed and told the enemy that they were all top-class treasures, and she understood that he was very rich. The Xin Zhen ambassador flashed his red eyes and said that even after successfully sealing the divine demon, the Holy Church had been preparing all along for these 1,000 years. The demon youth said that the followers of the Holy Church constantly bring them their best treasures, and all the major sects also offer the Holy Church their best treasures and pills every year. The distance between the enemies was reduced. The demons said that all these treasures that were accumulated were for this day of retribution and justice. The demon youth boasted about what he had. He asked how the demoness felt, because all these treasures were filled with the desire to kill and destroy the divine demon. But suddenly, the snoring of a demon girl was heard there. This caused the messenger to explode nervously and shout at her. How dare she fall asleep while he was talking to her? She said, or he finished chatting. The messenger told the demoness helpfully, bowing and grimacing as she wished. There were no weapons in his hands yet. The demon girl said in a low voice for the sword to appear to her. Immediately, some kind of light energy appeared near her. A moment later, the demoness was already armed with a sword. She waved it skillfully, clutching it tightly in her hands. The enemy's expression changed when he saw the weapon. The beautiful demon asked what happened, because he can use all his secrets if he still has them. The demon youth folded his fingers and whispered some kind of spell under his breath. The opponent lunged with a sword in his direction. Some blue wave of energy surrounded her body several times. Then, this blue stream of energy decided to attack the demoness's eyes, but she overcame it with the help of powerful defense. The messenger shouted as she actually managed to dodge the attack. The young man said, "After all 10 powers of the divine demon are sealed, and her ability to sense danger is sealed." The rival said that even if she didn't have it, she would deal with him easily. The beautiful demon sighed with relief and thought that it would be really bad if she didn't have it. That is, if she couldn't sense danger at all. The blonde closed her eyes for a split second and thought that the ability to respond to his attack would depend on the initial perception of her body. The girl told the enemy that for such a brat, it was a good performance. At these words, her expression changed and her features sharpened, as if she had received a new charge of energy. The demon youth said that he was not finished yet. A sword flashed in his hands. He grabbed it with both hands and raised it above his head, wanting to attack the enemy. Their maples crossed, each of them burning with the desire to kill the other. Their attacks were very powerful, their swordsmanship was excellent and equal in level. It remains to be seen whose strength will deplete faster. The demon said, seeing the demoness's mistake, that here was an opportunity. He laughed loudly and said that she was caught. The demon girl did not expect his attack from below. Ambassador Qin Zhen said that it is indeed much better to attack from below. The girl realized her mistake and dodged, jumping high up. His sword whizzed past her feet, nearly cutting off her heel. She said that, unfortunately, it did not help him. The young man said that this attack was just a miscalculation. He smiled, thinking of something. The demon said that sword attacks were ineffective against him, since she would not be able to hurt him and hoped to hit her in the future. The messenger thought that sooner or later he would wear down the divine demon and win. Suddenly, he himself, carried away by his thoughts, missed a blow right in the face. The demoness was more precise in martial arts. The demon beauty said that he was saying that since sword attacks were not effective against him, then she would use the most primitive attack she could. The girl used fighting techniques, including punching. She crushed his entire body with powerful blows. The beauty said that if there is anything to say at the end, now is the time. The guy's whole face was broken. Blood was coming from his nose and eyes. He said that the Holy Church... He was interrupted. Coughing and blowing his nose, the guy finished the sentence that the Holy Church would be the winner. He rushed with his whole body towards the demoness. And then there was an explosion. The girl felt him with all her guts and wondered what had happened. Had he really blown up her soul? The demon beauty figured out his plan. He blew up his own divine soul to escape. So the guy, with an explosion of his soul, tore it into 3 souls and 7 spirits in order to escape. The girl said that he did everything so that she would not find him, because he is very smart. It's just a pity that he met her. When the girl looked at her palm, there were only 10 pieces of the soul, although 1 more piece was missing. The demoness said that it was strange why another piece of the soul was missing. Then the beautiful demon said that it was nothing anyway. The difference is small, and sent all the contents that were in her hand into her mouth, loudly saying, "Yum, yum." She had a pleasant feeling in her body, because the demonic energy of this divine messenger was of very high quality. Only now, she fell silent and stuck out her tongue. She didn't really like the smell. The girl said it tasted like donkey butt. Her eyes first squinted and then widened. Then everything went away. The demoness approached the Chin-chan girl lying on the ground, who was still alive but wounded and unconscious. She said, looking at her, that this is a hot chick. Then the demoness remembered that she had not tried women for 1,000 years. She approached the victim, licking her lips and anticipating pleasure. In order to reach the body, the demon knelt down next to the lying girl and said that she would taste her. She was glad that she got such a sacrifice. As soon as the demoness opened her mouth and approached the beauty's neck, suddenly the bloodthirsty girl's own body began to resist her. She said this dude has a pretty strong will. The demoness objected. Whatever Lin Xiao did now, it was too late. The master began to hum a song to himself in order to anger her and increase control over her body. The demon girl's eyes widened. She resisted our hero, who was near her. The rival grabbed the Lord of the Holy Lands and held him in her hand. He continued to sing his song very loudly. The girl shouted that this song was very bad, and her head began to hurt from singing so much. The demon began to writhe and said that, okay, she took it. The rival could no longer resist this guy's energy and retreated. The demon's body began to shrink and change. In the place of the demoness, a moment later, the body of the young man Lin Sayo lay on the ground. He raised his hand and looked at her carefully. The sounds of his voice echoed in the air. The guy groaned. The Lord rubbed his eyes and said that he had finally found his body back. The guy remembered the wounded Sin-chan. He shouted at her not to die and to hold on. After some time, the young man could not come to his senses. He was arguing with two guys over the body of a sick girl. The guy shouted, holding him by the clothes, that he really couldn't cure her. The healer replied that although Mrs. External injuries are not serious, the internal injuries are the most important since her soul is damaged. Another doctor said that there was nothing they could do now. Our hero was very angry and shouted for the healers to leave. The two servants preferred to quickly leave so as not to further anger the gentleman who was standing over the beauty's body. The girl was lying on a large bed, covered with a white blanket. She was very pale. Her breathing was ragged. The Lord thought, could she die so easily? Why did this happen to him? The young man had conflicting feelings. He thought that after the transition, when a few days ago he was a villain, and now he has to face a girl who sacrificed herself. Our hero was thinking about what to do now. He furrowed his eyebrows and said that he had to save her. The Lord looked at her motionless body, and his heart bled that he did not save her. Then he decided to call Mei Fen to consult with her. The girl's health situation was becoming increasingly threatening. The guy took the pendant and thought about how to use it. The girl appeared and greeted the gentleman. She introduced herself as Mei Fen. The master said that she finally came out. Otherwise, he thought that she wanted to live the rest of her life inside the pendant. The image told the master to forgive her, since she had previously noticed that Chuan had Tulnant, so she wanted to help him develop and hoped that in the future he would be able to take revenge for my race. Then the advisor added that the character of the warrior of the Order of the Sword had changed, and he himself was guilty of this. This was because of that. So now she decided to go out to help. Lin Sayo replied that it was true that she wanted Chu Ain to avenge her, but everything you said after that was a lie. The guy suggested that her race was the enemy of the Holy Church, so she wanted to take revenge with the help of the young man. But she didn't expect that she could kill him so easily. The Lord continued that, in the future, the Holy Church will fight me to the death for killing the divine messenger and revealing the body of the divine demon. So she decided to come out of the pendant. The young man ended his speech by saying that all she wants now are powerful allies who stand next to him. Isn't he right? The girl took off her blindfold, which was tied over her eyes, saying that the young master was indeed a man of extraordinary wisdom. Mei Fen said that she has no memories of the past, and she does not even know her name, but can only associate herself with her race, and she only has hatred for the exterminators of her people. The girl with small horns on her head said that if he wants to help her take revenge, then she is even ready to serve him as a dog. The guy said actions speak louder than words. The ally stood next to the sick woman's bed and said that she wanted to heal the woman's soul as a sign of goodwill. Lin Sayo asked that he would really heal her. The Lord concluded that from today she will be his follower, and since she does not remember her name, from now on she will be called Tsu Yu. The master confessed that this name once belonged to a woman whom he once loved. The girl looked at him with a sad look. The Lord's follower coughed and she put her hand to her mouth. The young man asked if she was okay. Tsu-u replied that she tensed up a bit after using some of her power after all. She was just a remnant of the soul of who she was before. Then the ally said that the young master has a treasure that can nourish the soul. So he can put it there to restore it. The master said that there is such a treasure. Lin Xiao took out the ring and told her to go inside. The bright image entered the ring, which he then put on Sin-chan's hand. The young man turned away from the bed and began to leave, saying that he would just wait until the beauty got better. Suddenly, there, in the room, on the bed, Someone laughed and said that he was quite smart. It was a demon girl with round horns on her head. The demoness sat on the bed and said that she was interested. She was very attractive for her race. The guy said that this is a beauty. The image of the demoness that appeared said that how he forced such a kind girl to help him block the attack and that he was a real pro in this. First, the guy began to answer the demoness, saying that, of course, he knows, because the chosen one is always on his lead. But then he said to himself, "Stop." The Lord shouted who she was and when she came here. The demon girl just giggled in response. He got really angry and said that he was talking to her, the master thought, because he didn't even feel her coming. Appearing as if out of nowhere, she just laughed, making fun of him. Then the young man saw the dark silhouette of a demoness in the distance. He took a closer look and said that this was a demonic aura. The demon girl came closer and said that it was true. She looked at him with a mocking look. The guy asked, addressing the divine demon as she ran away. The demoness said that she did not run away, and she who is now in front of him is only a piece of her divine consciousness. Then the demoness laughed again and said that no one else could see her except him, and before she really wanted to take possession of his body. But now she changed her mind. The beautiful demon suggested to him that he should serve her. She said that he must kneel, swear allegiance to her, and if he agreed to this, then she would allow him to take part of her power. A rival came and wanted to become the master's mistress. She gestured with her hand for him to kneel. But the young man did not want to obey her and shouted what she had come up with. The guy thought, "Isn't this his body? What kind of nonsense is she talking about?" The demoness wondered why he didn't fall to his knees like the others. Beads of sweat appeared on her face. The guy told his rival why she was talking to him in such a tone. Shouldn't she beg him for help? The demoness became angry and said that it seemed that until she beat him, he would not understand his situation. The guy said that then he would start singing a song. At these words, he began to sing. To this, the demoness said that today she was merciful and this time she would let him go. The guy finished singing. The young man concluded that he would like to perceive each other as equals. Then he added that she should lend him the power of the divine demon, and he would help her regain her memory. The demoness asked how he knew that she had lost part of her memory. The young man replied that it was his guess. The gentleman said that a final boss like her should know many shocking secrets of the world. The young man continued that her memories were probably sealed because she knew too much. The demon said that she did not understand anything why he thought that way. She started to get nervous and scream. The guy concluded that the beauty would definitely not lose anything if you cooperate with him. The girl chuckled in response and put her finger to her forehead, thinking about what the young man had said. The interlocutors stood opposite each other. The young man said, "Well?" She raised her hand and extended it forward to shake, saying that she saw no reason to refuse. Suddenly approaching Lin Sayo, the beauty grabbed him by the neck. The guy began to choke from this technique. She shouted, grimacing, "So be it, she will follow him and help him." At this time, on the holy ground in the temple of the holy church, all tiers of the structure shone with bright light. 3 envoys stood before His Holiness. One of them warriors said that Qinzhen still has not returned after going to the netherworld to find the reincarnation of the divine demon. Then the speaker continued that they came, and if the head needs to convey something to Qinzhen, then they are ready. The head of the church replied that there was no need for this, since he felt that he was lost. The ambassador exclaimed, "How is this possible? Didn't Qinzhen go looking for traces of the divine demon's reincarnation? How could he die?" The messenger objected. "What does it mean that the divine demon has awakened? And if this is so, then why didn't his friend call for reinforcements?" His Holiness said that the ambassador is a complete idiot with fantasies about Tao. Ambassador Music Maiden said that she believed that Qinzhen wanted to use the divine demon for his cultivation, but he did not expect it to be so strong. The fat ambassador regretted that she did not witness this battle. The ambassador in a black robe said that one of them had just died, and how could they talk about him like that? The head of the church was tired of the messengers arguing among themselves. He shouted at them to be quiet. His eyes flashed a fiery red nervously. The elder said that none of the 9 seals had been broken, which means that the awakening of the divine demon is impossible. Xinjian must have died due to some circumstances. The head continued that if the ambassador died, then the killer saw his real face and realized who he really was. Then His Holiness added that although Xinjian has always leaned towards Tao, his devotion to the Holy Church is undeniable. The warrior suggested that the deceased had certainly left evidence of the enemy for us. The father of the Holy Church ordered that the messenger Xin Fen be sent to the 4 devastated lands to receive a message. Then the head of the cathedral added that as soon as he identified the suspect, he would immediately kill him, because no one should know the secrets of the Holy Church. The warrior in the black robe bowed and said that he would do everything as ordered. His eyes flashed black. Finally, the head shouted to him to be careful, because in the 4 devastated lands there is one of the seals of the divine demon, and he fears that the enemy has already found it. Sometime later, in the 4 devastated lands in the city of Qinfen, the words were heard. "What do you mean by most useless power?" Our hero asked the demon girl what it was. She said it was her breastplate, although it did not increase her combat power. The young man was taken aback by how the beauty behaved. She said that she would go change clothes and that he should not peek at her. Lin Sayo quietly asked, "Then why is it needed at all?" He thought hard about this question. The system did. Ding! Something strange happened because the owner removed the seal of the divine demon, the breastplate item. The young man began to search the system on the monitor for why the heavenly demon breastplate was needed. He said he would see how useless he was. But when the guy opened the inventory section, he saw there the name of the item with a note that it was extremely useful. He exclaimed that this was one of the 9 parts into which the body was divided. The young man knew that if he only gave a faint whiff of demonic aura, he would be immediately discovered, and the messenger would immediately find him. But now he could not cope with them. Our hero said that now everything has changed, and with the divine demon breastplate, he will be able to hide the demonic aura emanating from him. The demoness lay on the bed all this time while he was chatting. The guy said that as long as he was in danger, he could use the aura of the divine demon to fight back, so he had another trump card. Then he decided to look at the Ifan Tower. The Lord looked at the multi-tiered structure he held in his hand and did not understand why he could not use it. At this time, the demoness smelled something. She jumped up to the tower. The girl said that it seems that this treasure has her aura, and it seems that this tower also has a seal. Then the young man realized that the reason why he suddenly went crazy was because Ifan had one of the seals. The interlocutor said that it can only be used when he reaches the realm of the unformed and opens his soul palace, but now he will not be able to use it. At this time, the envoy of Xin Fen arrived in the devastated lands in the place where his friend ambassador died. He examined the soil and said, "It's here." The messenger said that the traces of Qinjian's soul explosion did indeed leave a message. The warrior put some soil between his palms and determined that only a piece of the soul remained. The ambassador thought that if he could restore this soul, then he would recognize the killer of Xinjian. The eyes of the man who arrived in these lands lit up with a black light, and the desire for revenge flared up in his chest. He said that when the time comes, he will kill the bastard. After some time, our hero stood in the middle of the room. 2 girls were sitting on the floor in front of him. He told those he called about the ancient art of soul manipulation and liberation. 2 girls were called by our hero, but they did not know what company they would find themselves in. Therefore, for the first moments, they were amazed at each other. The girl he called Zhu was the first to shout when she saw the demoness next to her. She jumped to the side and shouted, "What is this queen of the demonic path, Tsutsi?" The queen was calmer and more reasonable. She asked the young man what he was up to and why he freed them. The guy said, repeating the question, what was he up to? Our hero smiled and said that he simply decided to let them go. He was very pleased with his idea and was calm. The young man continued that in this world, strength is not the main thing, because those who follow the main character will prosper, and those who go against him will suffer, so he helped them improve. But the Lord from the Holy Lands told the girls to be careful. He warned them of the danger. The queen of the demonic path answered our hero that this is so, because to control two beauties and then let them go, just like that, is amazing. Yuitsutsi hung upside down as she spoke. The demoness asked our hero if everything was all right with him. The guy replied that if he had tens of thousands of rooms in his palace. A minute later, the young man added that then all the villains in the world would be happy. After some time, city residents noticed an airship in the sky. People shouted that this was young Master Lin Seo's starship because it had such power that it could overcome the limit. The airship with the dragon in front began to descend. The young man was standing thoughtfully in the room of the ship when he heard the words behind him. Young Master, this Chinchan girl is already feeling better. She started to get out of bed. The young man asked her sternly if she knew what she had done wrong. The beauty replied that she did not know. Tears welled up in her eyes and she looked confused. The Lord said that he swore with his heart to Tao that he would protect her, but she, taking the blow of the demon messenger on herself, caused harm to his heart because she did not think about it. The girl said guiltily that she was useless for the young master's cultivation, so she wanted to help the master block the attack, and she really didn't expect to harm his Tao heart. The beauty was very upset and waited impatiently for what the gentleman would say to her in response. At the same time, the girl was surprised that her master swore with his heart to Tao that he would protect her. But the guy turned around and told his interlocutor to take care of herself next time. But then the young man became cheerful and said that they would take a breath of fresh air because they were arriving at the Holy Land. The girl shouted that the young master was very kind to her. She smiled and laughed cheerfully. Many birds accompanied the ship on both sides. This was Holy Land. The Lord thought it was incredible. He was finally on holy ground. Our hero and Chin-chan stood on the deck of the ship as it landed on the ground. Beautiful, multi-tiered temples and buildings floated past. The girl was a little surprised and asked the young man if she could even be here as long as she was not in the ascended immortal realm. The Lord told her that he forgot to tell her that there was no ascended realm. The interlocutor was very surprised by what was said. The guy continued that when the inhabitants of the four devastated lands reach the pinnacle of the unbridled realm, they can break through the border and go to the Holy Lands, so it's not that complicated. Our hero continued that above the unbridled kingdom are the main god, God's leader, God's king, and then the emperor, and each kingdom consists of 9 steps. The Lord added that while in the 4 abandoned lands, someone might be considered a genius with the void spirit realm, but in the Holy Land, those above the unbridled realm are considered geniuses. The girl concluded that, as expected from the Holy Land, since all geniuses are above the unbridled realm, the girl asked why the young master had not yet risen above this realm. Our hero explained that if one cultivates too quickly, it will make one's condition unstable, and he wants to have a steel base. The girl understood what he said. Meanwhile, the young master thought that in fact, the owner of his body was obsessed with women and alcohol and did not care about cultivation because his current cultivation was based on pills. The boy thought that in the 4 abandoned lands, his cultivation was more than enough, but here at home, it is nothing, so he needs to quickly increase his cultivation. The Lord remembered that not only was his strength in the Holy Lands unimpressive, but he had countless enemies willing to kill him. At these thoughts, his eyes sparkled with an evil gleam. The son, returning to his monastery, remembered that he needed to visit his mother, who is the head of the Dan Yuan Temple and also has a beautiful, slender figure. As Xin-chan stepped off the ship's ramp, a young man offered her his hand. He told her to go slower and be careful. The guy walked in front, Behind him was his follower, Xin Chan, who was very surprised by the beautiful multi-tiered buildings. She said that his sect is very luxurious and large in size. The young master said that the Danuan sect is one of the best in the Holy Lands, but it looks quite ordinary. As soon as Lin Seo crossed the threshold of the temple, he shouted, "Mom, I'm back!" That hour, a beautiful, slender woman came running to meet him and hugged him. It was his mother. She said that he had finally returned. Otherwise, she thought that something had happened to him in the lower world. The head of the temple asked his son if he had eaten well and how everything went. The guy, embarrassed, told his mother to stop talking to him like a child in front of strangers. The young man's mother noticed the guest and said that before he didn't care, but now he became more shy after he got to the lower world. The lady of the temple said that a banquet should be held on the occasion of his return home. The guest walked behind the lady. She thought how beautiful the young master's mother was. Suddenly, the young man saw the image of a demoness, which was visible only to him. The woman who appeared told the guy that his mother was very beautiful. Although she was married, she was still charming. The demon hugged the young master and said that working with him was indeed her right choice. The guy was embarrassed and said that she allows herself. The demoness continued to joke and make faces. She told him to call her mommy. Lin Sayo told her to fuck off. Meanwhile, food and drinks appeared on the table. There were many pills of different grades on the platter. Any of them would be considered a treasure in the lower world, but here they simply stood on the table as a snack for guests. The girl was surprised by this. Meanwhile, Mommy stuffed her son with a lot of pills and told him to eat well. The woman did not wait for him to chew, but handed him more and more pills with chopsticks. The head of the temple, after feeding her son, asked him whether he had achieved his goal in the lower world. The guy said that's right. The divine demon's aura is no longer leaking out. Then Lin Sayo added, trying to be cheerful, that there were problems between him and the Holy Church, and he just didn't know what the Holy Church would do to him now. The temple owner told him not to worry. As long as the divine demon aura in your body is suppressed, he doesn't need to worry about the Holy Church. The saint is now being threatened by someone else. The Lord's mother continued, if they want to touch him, then so that he does not worry, she will protect him and kill everyone who gets in his way. Then, the mother, looking at the guest, quietly whispered to her son so that when he finished playing with the girl, he would get rid of her as soon as possible. The head of the temple told Lin Sayo that he should get engaged to Nain Tsinun from the Misty Palace, because if he marries her and is associated with this kingdom, then he will have no equal in the Holy Land. The mother added that they must avoid suspicion at all costs. The guy thought, oh, that means everything has already been decided for him. The young man told his mother to be calm and he would sort it out. But the mistress of the house was on the alert. She asked him in surprise why he was so obedient today. The son chuckled and answered the question with a question. Am I too obedient? At this moment, the mother's expression changed. She called him by name and her eyes lit up. The head of the temple extended her hand to her son and shouted for him to reveal his divine consciousness to her. Fire ignited from her left eye. She added that she wanted to test his soul. The young man reluctantly agreed, while thinking that the search for the soul should not reveal him. Right. Then the mother directed her energy to her son to find out what was in his soul. After a minute, she sighed with relief and said that everything was fine with his divine consciousness. Relief appeared on her face. She was worried that something had happened to her son. The temple mistress explained that he had not been so obedient before, so she thought that after traveling to the 4 devastated lands, other people had taken possession of him. But the son replied that he was simply growing up after his journey to the lower world. Then the mother cried and said that she had always been worried that he would get into trouble, but now she would feel better. The guy quietly told her, Mom, he thought that in his previous life, his mother died immediately after his birth, and therefore he did not experience maternal love. The young man told her to relax, because he is her son. a man who intends to dominate the Holy Lands, and he is not going to die until then. Lin Xiao's mother said that he was great, and if he needed anything, he should just tell her. The guy immediately asked that she could give him some pills, since he had used them all. The young man, with his mother's permission, went to the warehouse to take whatever he wanted. The demoness did not miss the moment to appear when he was going to the warehouse and said that he had a caring mother. The young man was thinking about something else and did not listen to the demon girl. He thought that his mother was in the realm of the God Emperor, but she did not find any deviations in his soul, which means the strength of the system is higher. The guy remembered the system and decided to play the game, so he wanted to call Chin Chan and let her help him again. A system screen with options unfolded in front of the young lord. The demoness noticed the screen. She said what it is, and why words with pictures float in the air, because it is very strange. The guy asked her that she could see the system. Then the demon girl asked if she could touch it. The guy was surprised, because he wanted Sinchan to help him. The lord waved his arms and shouted, "Stop!" But the interlocutor did not listen to him and said that she had already pressed. The guy was very angry with her. The demoness stood with her hands folded in front of her. The young man shouted what she had done. The interlocutor calmly said why he was screaming, because he didn't die. The guy said he was probably already dead. He was afraid to look at the screen. Then he opened his mouth and screamed at the top of his lungs that she knew how much harm she had caused him. Our hero said, "Does she see that she used 10 spins? And what kind of garbage will she get now?" Suddenly the screen flashed with lights. The young man was very surprised and shouted, "What?" Then the guy swore and could not utter a word for some time. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed air. Lin Xiao peered at the screen and could not see from excitement what he got in the game. The demon girl asked why he was acting like a moron. He did not respond to the insult. Then the demoness said that it was her fault, because she shouldn't have pressed, but she wanted to try so bad. Suddenly the young man threw himself on his knees and fell in front of his interlocutor, hugging her leg. He said that no, it was his fault, and he hoped that the divine demon would not accuse him of being weak-minded. Then the demoness said that she didn't understand what was happening, but he liked your attitude. The guy pressed himself against her and said that she had big breasts. Then the interlocutor said that in that case, she needs to bring 10 handsome men here, or he can also let her go to his father. But the young man no longer listened to her chatter. He went to the screen and looked at what he got in the game. The girl then swore at him. The game revealed that he had won the Path of the Sword, which gives him the essence of the intention of using a sword and the ability to become invincible, and this ability can increase to the highest level. In addition, he dropped the Law of Thunder, which will allow him to use the power of thunder. He will be able to manipulate thunder, and then this skill will increase to the highest level. The third thing dropped in the game was the Pangu Stone, which is an ancient treasure that can reveal its soul and house the spirit treasure and resist the soul's attack. The guy thought that this was all super powerful and so cool that it increased his strength significantly, so he really hit the jackpot. The young man thought that now he needed to calm down, because now that he had returned to the Holy Land, his enemies were everywhere. His enemies were the Chosen One and the messenger of the Holy Church. The young man therefore decided that he could not use these objects at his own discretion and must be careful with them in order to use them at the really necessary moment. The guy thought that, after all, he was just an insignificant villain without the protection of fate, because he could only rely on himself. Our hero reasoned that he needed to solve the problem with the girl Chin Chan, because on the one hand, his mother advised him to avoid her, but the beauty's level is too low, and he has many enemies. The young master remembered that in addition to the Tao heart he had sworn to before, if something happened to the girl, he might be seriously hurt. The guy walked along the long stairs leading from the temple and reasoned with himself that he urgently needed to make a decision. At this time, a conversation was heard in the Heavenly Sword Sect. The elder reported to the head of the sect. His voice was excited. He told the patriarch that something had happened. The great sect elder brought news of Lin Sayo's return. The patriarch sat on a throne, to which many steps led. He said as Lin Sayo is already here. Heavenly Sword. Sect Patriarch Duan Vyun was surprised. How was it possible that a young youth actually landed at the entrance of the sect? The elder said yes, because this fool always flew straight into the hall. Why did he suddenly land at the entrance, like a normal person? The head of the Heavenly Sword sect guessed that he must be an impostor. The elder said that the guy was somehow suspicious, and you need to be careful with him. The old man who was the patriarch's advisor said that the eldest son of the Lin clan, who is the son of Suanwanue from the Danuan sect, is very important, and they must be extremely careful with him. The elders went to meet the young man who had returned to the Holy Lands. With this, they wanted to honor him. Lin Sayo and Sinchan entered the temple. The clan heir said after the greeting that he heard that the Heavenly Sword sect was looking for a successor to Dao Sword, and here she was. At these words, he pointed to the girl. Then the young master added that there was no need for thanks, and he only wanted to strengthen the relationship between the two sects. The girl said that she was greeting the elders. The patriarch said, "What does it mean that the person the young master is talking about is the girl next to him?" All the elders began to cry out who she was and where she came from. One of them said that for 18 years, the kingdom of the sea and souls, they did not have such a shame. All the elders began to laugh, pointing their fingers at the girl. One of the elders said she was just trash. Xinchan became very upset that they were laughing at her. All the teachers began vying with each other to say that they would not be able to accept her as a student, coming up with various reasons to refuse. They all thought that Lin Sayo just wanted to take advantage of their sect. The beauty bowed her head and realized that none of the teachers wanted to take her on as a student. The young man also stood silently, undecided. But then he figured out what to say to the elders. He concluded that then all he could do was send her to the Ten-Sword sect with his good brother, Lin Tianum. All the teachers kept giggling and saying that they couldn't accept her and that they were sorry, because she would really have to go to the Thousand-Sword sect. Then the young gentleman turned to the girl and asked what was her last achievement in martial arts, because it was the Dao sword. The girl said that she wields the Dao sword. She held one hand behind her back. All the teachers opened their mouths at what they heard. The elders asked whether she had truly comprehended this weapon. The girl chuckled and turned to the teachers. The beauty folded her hands in front of her, and a mysterious aura began to appear around her. At the same time, all the teachers immediately sensed the aura of the girl who had the intention of using the Dao sword. After all, only a few of them had the good fortune to touch a corner of such art. One of the teachers noted that such a student is born once every 100 years, but the young master told the girl that it was time for them to join the 10,000 Sword sect. She replied that she was already on her way. Suddenly, one of the elders shouted for them to wait. He quickly realized that such a disciple was very valuable to their sect. All three teachers, vying with each other, began to invite Xinchan to be their students. They praised their schools and asked the master to leave her in the sect. Our hero said that, didn't they say that they couldn't accept the student? Why did they all change their minds at the same time? The three elders began to justify themselves to the young master that they had changed their minds, since it became clear to them about her abilities. They started arguing among themselves. Suddenly, they were interrupted by the shout of the head. He told them to stop behaving so shamefully in front of everyone. The teachers froze and stopped tugging at each other's boats. The speaker said that he owns a sword, which he wants to give to the girl because he thinks that she is a good and strong person. The old man admitted that he owned his sword day and night for many years, but the sword did not recognize him as its owner. And now, when he saw this girl, he recognized her as its owner. The young master was surprised at the girl's abilities, because she was the one who merged with the Tao of the sword, and he recognized her as the mistress. The elder handed the sword to the girl. The teacher said that it was fate. Why not let this girl accept him as her master, because he has been cultivating for a long time and wants to pass on his teachings? Two other old men began to shout at the master who proposed. They accused him of using this trick. A terrible noise arose in the temple due to a quarrel between the elders. Suddenly, the patriarch shouted at them. Sect leader Duanvyun said that since the young master just said that he brought a successor to the sect, since she is the successor of the sect, he personally wants to teach her. All three elders stood in amazement. They didn't expect that they would all be outsmarted by the patriarch. The same one, not paying attention to anyone, turned away from his subordinates and walked away from them. The young man said that he was interested in what status the patriarch wanted to assign to the student. The sect leader folded his hands in front of him and said that tomorrow he would hold a disciple acceptance ceremony and announce that Chin Chan was the holy disciple of his immortal heavenly sword sect. Then the patriarch turned to the girl and said that she would be able to visit any place in their sect at will. The girl thanked the teacher joyfully. The elder told the young man that he still called him elder. Then he laughed cheerfully. The young man bowed to him. The young man asked the girl if she wanted to be under the guidance of Master Duan Vyun. The beauty replied that if he doesn't mind, then she agrees. The guy gave her a voice transmission talisman and said that this is a talisman with which you can call it using your consciousness. Jin-chan asked if he would come for her again later. The young master said that the day they both reached the realm of the God King, they would meet again. The girl said that she would cultivate diligently and would soon become his assistant. She felt a great surge of energy from that moment and knew what she needed to strive for from now on. After these words, Lin Sayo turned around and walked towards the exit, then waved his hand without turning around. The girl remained standing near her teacher and waved after him. The patriarch was thoughtful when the young man was out of sight. He asked the student how they met Lin Sayo. The beauty answered the master that she was a disciple of a sect in the lower lands, but the master was so kind that he took her here to the Holy Lands. The old man wondered that the young beauty didn't know about the young man's reputation here in the Holy Land, so she seemed to be in love with him. The patriarch reflected that her cultivation of the soul realm could also be explained. The head thought that fortunately they didn't spend much time together, but when she got to know her friend's character and behavior, she would be disappointed in him, and then she could put all her heart and soul into the Tao of the sword. The elder noted that at such a young age, understanding the principles of Tao is truly a talent, so he is grateful to Lin Sayo for sending her to our sect. The patriarch in conclusion thought that if the disciple succeeded, then his sect would be able to defeat the 10,000 Swords Holy Land and become the #1 sect in the Holy Lands. Meanwhile, our hero returned to his home. He entered the door of the large room and said that the problem with Tizin Chan had been solved. Next, he needed to deal with the divine demon. As soon as the young man said these words, he was attacked by a demoness. She shouted his name angrily. Then she came close to him and hit him with her fist, saying that he was a bastard and she was mistaken about him. The guy didn't understand why the demoness attacked him. He asked what he did wrong. She replied that he sent the beautiful Chin Chan to the sect, and now she will have no one to admire. The demon girl said that now she stupidly needs to hang out with him, and she doesn't like it. The young man's mother noticed the guest and said that before he didn't care, but now he became more shy after he got to the lower world. The young man was tired of all this, and he said that they needed to talk and clarify everything as partners. Lin Sayo said that now they need to talk very frankly because they agreed to be on equal terms. Our hero and demon were in a large pool. The demoness began her story because initially she was an insignificant demon, and no matter how she cultivated, she could not achieve a human form. The demon admitted that she then realized that she had to attract the most powerful force in the world. The demon girl continued that the most powerful force in this world is the power of desire for beautiful women. The interlocutor admitted that she wandered around the world to meet all kinds of beauties who were cultivated, and that's when she became a powerful demon in the world. The young man asked whether she was definitely a divine demon, or maybe just a pervert. Then the demoness told the young man that now it was his turn to tell everything about himself. Our hero admitted that, first of all, he is not the owner of this body, because he himself is from another world and simply moved into this body. The demoness screamed, "So that's why!" But she did not continue her sentence further. The young man asked if she could look into his memory. The demon said she just sensed a strong sense of contradiction in him. The demon Beauty said that his body has a lot of experience with women, and he smells like a virgin. She approached him and poked his finger in the chest. The young man told her not to learn such an important secret in such an indecent way. The demon said she was joking and asked him to continue. The guy began his story about his past life, because he was an ordinary art student, but after graduating from college, he could not find a job. One day our hero came across a website and decided to write his own novel. At first, no one read what he wrote. In this case, the young man could only continue to write his novels and read a lot of other writers in order to become better. Gradually, the number of his readers became larger. Finally, his income increased, and he said goodbye to instant noodles and water every day. The demon listened attentively to the young man's story and said, "That isn't this inspiring." But the guy continued that he was not happy. Then the young writer realized that his characters were becoming less and less human. They were just emotional monsters, because his main characters were selfish and villains, which is what the readers wanted. The demoness asked if that was why he let those two go. Our hero replied that that was exactly the case. He had already died twice, so he was slightly depressed. Lin Zio stood up to his full height. There was only a bandage on his hips. The water drained from his body. He told his interlocutor that now he doesn't need to think about the number of subscribers or comments. The demoness said that now it is clear why he used to say such strange things. The demoness looked carefully at the young man. She said that if he were a girl, she would have an affair with her. The guy repeated, "A girl?" The beauty asked the guy, "Since he already said that everything in this world is a plot, then let him tell about everything that he thinks about it." The interviewee said that, according to his extensive experience as a writer, there are now about 3 main plot lines in our script. Our hero said that the first part of the plot is her, since the process of gradually opening her seal is the process of him becoming stronger, which is the main plot line. Beauty was surprised by her main role in the plot and thought that maybe she needed to do something to make our storyline even more interesting. The guy replied that readers only need to look at her to be happy, so she doesn't need to invent anything. The demon girl repeated after him that it was just to watch, and that's all. The young man continued his story. He said that the second line is the Holy Church, which is only called holy, but in fact, they have shocking secrets. The guy continued, "Because they killed the heavenly messenger, so sooner or later they will have to fight with the Holy Church, and then in this plot, the secrets of the Holy Church will gradually be revealed." The demoness admitted that the damned Holy Church used her to climb to the top, and their founder took advantage of her, so she wanted to crush his head. The beauty was very upset by these memories, so she could not even remember his name. The guy told her not to worry. The young lord added, "After all, how could she remember the late-stage boss without unlocking the seals?" The young man continued that the longest and most complex plot, which is the third line, is the Chosen One, who is a bastard wearing the halo of the main character. The Chosen Ones are like lotus flowers at first, innocent and white, but in reality they are hypocritical from head to toe. The interlocutor said that the Chosen Ones in this world are protected by the heavenly Tao and blessed with good fortune, and if he kills them directly, he will receive a backlash, so he can only act slowly. The girl asked to give her an example. The guy thought about it and said that he would now explain everything to her. The young master said that he had a half-brother, Lin Tian, who was originally a genius. But when he was 10 years old, his mother gave Lin Zio his energy to help suppress the divine demon. Our hero continued that he recovered, and his brother lost his cultivation ability. Because of this, he hid in the 10,000 sword sect to practice sword Dao. The guy concluded that this is a typical template for the main character of the novel, so he will definitely show himself in the future. The demoness lost interest in the story, saying that she was interested in beautiful women. Then our hero said that his bride, named Sinan, was also probably the chosen one. The demoness, hearing these words, immediately jumped up to the young man and asked whether his bride was beautiful. The young master replied that the original owner of the body only saw her masked face from afar and could not restrain himself from asking for her hand in marriage. Then the Taoist palace agreed to the engagement. The interlocutor concluded that she must not be unbeautiful, because she has a reputation for beauty. Hearing these words, the demoness grabbed the young man by the hand and dragged him along with her. She told him to quickly go to his bride immediately. The demon girl loudly asked the guy that weren't they going to get to know his bride better? Why were they waiting and not going to her? She was so impatient that she pulled him by the hand towards the exit. Then the young man told the demoness to calm down because he had to give his future wife engagement gifts. The interlocutor stopped and stared at him. The young man explained that the Taoist palace originally did not want to marry the saint to a playboy like him, so if there were no betrothal gifts, they would definitely change their mind. The guy added that that's why he asked the patriarch to find a suitable gift for him for the bride, and they should see what they found. The demoness agreed to go and see the gift. At the same time, the interlocutor was so impatient and shouted that she needed to hurry up and do all this faster. Then the two of them headed to the meeting. Our hero entered a large, spacious building where there were round tables and chairs, and all the people watching him began to whisper. Our hero immediately felt that something was wrong. He felt someone's eyes on him. The young people watched him secretly, hiding behind the walls. The demoness, who was a little ahead, asked him why he stopped. No one saw her presence except the young man. She was surprised that no one was greeting him. The guy said that before, every time he returned to the sect, a lot of fawning dogs would crowd around him. But today there is no one, not even a secretary. All the people were afraid to go out to him. The young master thought that the disciples around him were looking at him strangely, in addition to the fear of avoidance. Our hero felt that there was a moment of anticipation and excitement among the students, as if something important was about to happen right now. The demoness said that he shouldn't think about such things, because he should quickly take the gift. Suddenly, a young man with a sword came out of the darkness and said the name of our hero. He said that he had finally returned. Lin Seo looked at the warrior who entered in fear. The gentleman asked the stranger, "Who are you?" The young man replied that his name was Tsun Fen. He was very nervous and almost shouted. Our hero began to think hard about where he had heard this name. Then the Lord said that he finally remembered. The stranger turned him around, saying that he really remembered. The young master told the newcomer that he was a true disciple of the great elder, had always been handed over to elder sister Fu. After he became a master, he dragged elder sister Fu. The master continued that he sees that the sister's brother's hatred has not faded away, and he looks at him with undisguised hatred. The master concluded that the hater often saw our hero flirting with his sister, so he got angry and went into seclusion to cultivate. The guy jumped up to Lin Sayo and shouted that he didn't need to tell about this, because the master had been mocking them all day long and doing all sorts of dirty tricks, creating problems for the myriad Dao demon sect. The boy pointed his finger at the young master and suggested that a person like him could not be the young master of their demon sect, and he was going to fight him to the death. Moreover, the master remembered that according to the rules of the Dao myriad demon sect, one cannot refuse a duel of life and death, and this was serious. Our hero thought that he did not expect to meet the new chosen one so soon. Fu's sister's brother pulled out his sword and was already standing in front of his opponent. The young master immediately decided to scan him and see what his destiny value was. But imagine his surprise when he saw a 0 on the screen about the value of Tsun Fen. The demoness screamed, being behind our hero, that as a young enemy he dared to detain her to see the beautiful bride. Lin Sayo thought to calm her down. The demon told the young master not to stop her, because those who stand in her way to a beautiful woman must die. Our hero thought that even a warrior with zero destiny value wants to use him to achieve his goals. Perhaps he is too kind. The demoness objected to him to calm down. Suddenly, a joyful female voice was heard there. "Young master!" This was shouted by Sister Fu, who entered the hall. Her brother turned around, and his face was distorted in a grimace of surprise. A beautiful girl stood at the entrance and looked at Lin Sayo without taking her eyes off. She was slender and delicate, and very beautifully dressed, with a long ponytail on her head, gathered at the very top of her head. Her brother asked her sister that she was here to challenge the young master. The girl replied that her younger brother should not interfere with her conversation with the arriving young master. Sister Fu told the master that she had prepared a banquet and that he should not forget to come after the battle. The young lord hugged the girl and pulled her towards him, looking straight into her eyes. He said that she was still such a beauty. This prank of Lin Sayo infuriated her brother Sun Fen, who began to scold the master. The beauty quietly told the master that her brother had asked the great elder for several copies of the divine demon techniques before going into seclusion, so he should be careful. The demon told our hero that it was little Sister Fu who was very kind to him, so after he dealt with this trash, he should remember to visit her. The young master thought that maybe the demoness was rushing to his bride, and now she wants him to meet someone else. But the secret interlocutor said that they would always have time to go to the bride. The demoness said that the girl is like meat that needs to be eaten. The guy replied, sharply upsetting his interlocutor, that the younger Sister Fu was not his servant, but a true disciple of the Myriad Tao demon sect. Beauty said that students at every level of the sect must participate in a fight to the death, because only the survivors can be promoted, so every stage is a bloodbath. The girl continued that this is why there are no ass-lickers and slackers in the sect, but only the powerful, since only the strong survive, whose hands are stained with the blood of their comrades. It so happened that the peak for disciples is a true disciple who has achieved exaltation by killing his comrades in the sect, and this is a mountain of corpses. Thanks to this, true disciples are not only strong, but also have great authority, because they are objects of admiration and admiration among the disciples of the sect. The demoness looked at the beautiful Sister Fu, who was not only beautiful, but also strong in the sect. So the devil wanted to drag her into bed and exchange knowledge, so to speak. The master was angry with the demoness for her black and vile thoughts, which he had to listen to from a secret interlocutor. He wondered why the Holy Church didn't seal all her dirty ideas. The demon said that he was a playboy. It was amazing that he could kill many people to reach the position of a true disciple and become a young master, and she couldn't believe what he could think sometimes. Our hero objected to the demoness that he didn't kill anyone. He just went up through the back door. But since no one except the young gentleman saw the secret interlocutor, it turned out that he was talking to himself. Brother Fu threateningly told Lin Sayo that he should stop talking to himself. The opponent raised his sword and began to approach our hero. The young man said that it was time for them to fight. There were several Taoist sects in the Holy Lands, but the Lin clan was stronger than the Myriad Tao demon sect. Therefore, the head of the demon sect was obliged to the father of our hero. At first, the head of the clan used connections to get the young master to join the demon sect. But then the young man missed the competition, but still became a true disciple. The peculiarity of the sect was that they recognized only the strongest. But a playboy like our hero could not convince people, so he generously distributed treasures and pills to ass-lickers. The demon girl asked if he didn't say that he had a lot of ass-licking here. The young man replied to his interlocutor that that was why he generously distributed treasures and pills to the ass-lickers to help them strengthen their strength. The guy continued that even talented and strong disciples did not have the opportunity to get spiritual treasures and pills just like that, so almost all of them fawned over him. The interlocutor noticed the sect members hiding behind the wall and told the young master that they followed him everywhere. Lin Sayo said that even if this is the case, they still want him to lose. Our hero followed his enemy up the steps. The young man concluded that, in the end, everyone wants to see a poor child humiliate a rich one. Our hero added that this is why the rich should never mock the poor, because then the opposite happens, because this is part of human nature. The demoness quietly whispered to him that she still thinks that little sister Fu is worried about him because she likes him. When the two competitors went up to the high ground to fight, there was a judge who announced that the master Lin Sayo would now fight against the legend Sun Fen. It would be a duel of life and death. Many sect members gathered to watch the battle. Among them was a girl, Sister Fu. An onlooker noticed a beauty in the front row and said that if she was here, then this was the young master's duel. Another cult member noticed our hero's brother, Sayo, among the crowd. The onlooker said that how come such a reclusive cultivation maniac like him came out of seclusion to watch the fight? Brother Sayo answered the annoying, curious guy that he was just bored in solitude and went out to get some fresh air. The curious guy kept up with little sister Fu, asking who she was rooting for because, probably, the young master. The girl replied that she was naturally rooting for Lin Sayo. His brother heard this and told the girl what a pity, but he was rooting for her brother, Sun Fen. Then the interlocutor, our hero's brother, added that this time I'm afraid he will have to do what he wants. The girl whispered the young master's name. She looked at him without taking her eyes off. The enemies dispersed on opposite sides of the ring. The judge told them to try, because the strongest will survive. Then the leader of the fight shouted, "Start!" The enemies prepared for battle, and after the command, they began to fight. Suddenly, Sun Fen's sword overflowed with light energy. Fu said that this is a demon-slaying great sword, because isn't it a skill that can only be cultivated in the realm of illusion destruction?